Am I the asshole for being mad at the best man's girlfriend for making him choose between a dog and our wedding? My fiancé, male 29, and I, female 26, got engaged last October after 6 years together and plan to marry this October. We both have a very complicated family, so we thought a lot about our wedding and decided that we just want peace and don't want to worry about all the family drama. So we plan to get married in Italy with only our best man and our maid of honor. It's only a 4-hour drive to a small city we once discovered on a road trip. We invited the maid of honor and his best man to the wedding, let's call him Mike, male 29, and told them that they could bring their significant other also. The trip will be fully paid, and Mike is my fiancé's best friend since kindergarten. Mike's girlfriend, let's call her Courtney, female 28, and him have been together for 3 years. We were very welcoming towards her, and I befriended her also. We did a lot of things together. We helped them move and build their home. Mike and Courtney are getting a dog, hopefully in September, so Mike told us that he needed a different hotel because the one we chose is not dog-friendly, and at the time of our wedding in October, they probably would have the dog. We apologized and looked for another hotel, and then he texted that Courtney thinks the dog wouldn't make the long drive, which we understood. We said that there are probably lots of friends and family who could take the dog, but Courtney doesn't want that. Mike told us that Courtney would probably stay home with the dog and that he would travel alone. Here comes the drama. The following day, Mike wrote us that he will not come to our wedding because Courtney doesn't want to be alone with the dog for the weekend, and she also would like to attend the wedding. Courtney wrote to me asking if we could change our wedding month or the place, maybe just have a wedding in our hometown so that they could come. I said no. If we married in our hometown, the families would want to attend, and all the drama between parents and siblings would stress us out. My fiancé asked Mike again if he couldn't come alone, and he finally told us that Courtney threatened to end the relationship if he doesn't stay with her and the dog. My fiancé was absolutely sad and disappointed and told Mike his feelings. He's normally not overly emotional, but that was hard for him. Courtney wrote me the following day as if nothing had happened, and I told her that I'm absolutely disappointed in her, and I can't understand her behavior and how she puts this dog, who is absolutely in no danger or need to have 2 people dog-sitting him, over our wedding, and kind of expected her to apologize for all the stress that she put us through. But she called me an insensitive and defensive person, a bridezilla who wants her wedding above everything, and said she couldn't accept my behavior even if I apologized. I just can't comprehend why I should apologize. I feel like I can express to my friends if I'm disappointed, and I absolutely didn't write anything offensive. Edit, to clarify, there is no dog yet. They talked to a breeder. He said that if his dog mama gets pregnant and has more than 3 babies, they would get one in September. In the comments, someone says that Courtney is out of line and not worth knowing. And OP says, "Okay, thanks. I really couldn't understand her either and started doubting myself. My birthday is in 2 weeks, and I wrote to Mike that I don't want her to attend because I'm too mad about all of that. And he wrote back to me and said that she doesn't want to see me or my fiancé for the next few months, even if I apologize. So I guess not seeing her will be an easy thing. Why can't they just postpone getting a dog for a month?" OP says they want to get the dog from a breeder who said that it's mandatory to get the dog after 12 weeks or someone else would get the dog. Wait, so the dog isn't even pregnant yet and they don't know how many puppies she'll have? OP says, yes, you are absolutely right. Maybe I should have made that more clear. A, the dog is not even pregnant, and B, they don't know if there are enough babies for them to get one. They have priority 4. That's why I wrote that they will, hopefully, get 1 dog in September because it's not even clear if it is happening. Yes, they talked to a breeder and he put them on the list. The dog is not even pregnant, but if she gets pregnant and if she has more than 3, they'll get it in September. A lot of ifs. I don't think it's about money. Everything would be fully paid by us, and I really don't think that we gave her any reason to hate us, but I don't know. Tricky one. This just makes her argument even worse. OP says, yes, If I wouldn't feel so sorry for my fiancé and a little bit for Mike, I would find it absolutely justified and funny if they don't get a dog. Maybe Mike would wake up about his shitty choice if he missed our wedding and didn't even get a dog just so that he could sit at home alone with Courtney while we will be having a blast in Italy. On Mike and Courtney, OP says, "Yes, we did tell Mike that we are not changing anything now, and he told us that he won't come to our wedding. He's sad about it, but doesn't want to break up with Courtney. They recently built a house together, and she talks all the time about children, so it's pretty serious between them. My fiancé and I don't even know what to feel about all that." Death and Taxes 2023 says, "Not the asshole, and I feel a bit sorry for Mike, to be honest. They don't even have a dog yet. I think even looking for another hotel so that their currently non-existent dog could travel with them was incredibly accommodating of you. There are several solutions available to them. Wait and get a dog after the wedding, have a family member dog sit, put the dog into kennels, have Courtney stay home with the dog. But the only solutions Courtney feels are acceptable would be for Mike to miss his best friend's wedding, where he is to be best man, or for you to completely change your wedding dates or venue to accommodate their currently non-existent dog. You have nothing to apologize for. There is something else going on with Courtney, and I really hope that Mike does go to the wedding because I think he will regret it later if he doesn't. I don't feel sorry for Mike. He can choose, like everyone. Right now, Courtney forces him to an ultimatum, and he has to figure out where he stands." Yeah, that one's a real sour spot for me personally. That is a red flag if I ever seen it. That's my opinion, of course, but Courtney forcing an ultimatum onto him, going on 2 years together, is insane. I would be questioning whether I want to tie myself to Courtney for a good long while after that. Like, oh my god, okay, so I'm not allowed to go to be the best man at my best friend's wedding because you're gonna break up with me if I don't come? Are you hearing yourself right now? Courtney, you're one crazy son of a gun, you know that? You're delusional, Courtney, and definitely in this situation, being delulu is absolutely not the solulu. I'm getting such bad vibes from this Courtney character. I hate her. I don't like that she's doing this to him. And now, onto the update. We discussed sending this thread to Mike, but decided ultimately against it as he first wanted to talk to Mike himself, before revealing that I posted the whole thing on the internet. They met in secret yesterday, as Courtney was at work, and Mike broke down crying. It has been super stressful for him. He asked his family, especially his mum, to dog sit, but Courtney declined. His mother was furious that he would miss my fiancé's wedding, as she loves him, but Courtney told her that she had changed her mind and had decided to let Mike go, but that I then wrote her an offensive and mean message, so they decided against it. Mike lost it at that and told his family that she had never allowed him and that my message wasn't mean at all. He really told her that he wants to go and that she should just live with that. She cried a lot and he felt bad. My fiancé told him that he asked another friend of them, who has a little child, to come, and he said yes. His wife even asked us if we wanted her and the baby to come. She would understand if that's too much, but we were happy to also invite them. Mike cried after hearing this and realized that he will not attend our wedding now because of Courtney. Today, Mike wrote to my husband that Courtney told him that she was overreacting because she had the feeling that he wouldn't value the dog and that it's a good practice thing for a baby. She doesn't want to apologize to us, but would accept if he goes to the wedding. I think Mike's family made very clear that they think that she's crazy for this and she wants to be viewed as a good person. My fiancé said that he won't change that back and that Mike sadly will miss the wedding because we can't be sure that there is no more drama with Courtney. I know that this is hard for my fiancé, but he hopes that Mike realizes now what Courtney will cost him now and in the future. Thanks for all the good wishes, and I'm happy to be married in Italy this October without Courtney. Yay! And now on to Update 2, Wedding Best Man Dog Drama. Hey, it's been nearly 2 months, so I guess I could post an update because you helped me so much. Maybe it's not interesting to anybody, but I feel grateful for all the text messages and comments from a while ago. It's a sad update. My fiancé tried to stay friends with Mike, Just like how you guys suggested, despite the hurt that he caused him and the strain that this had on our soon-to-be married happiness. The wedding topic was totally dropped between them, and my fiancé took a great effort to only see him while Courtney isn't around so that he could always talk to him about problems. Mike has his birthday in a couple of weeks, and my fiancé told him that we would come, despite the hurt and everything, if he wants us to. He also said that his friendship with Mike is important to him, so that we would be open to talk to Courtney if she ever wants to apologize. That was the downfall of the friendship between them. While Mike revealed shortly after the fight that he thinks Courtney was over the top and dramatic, and a little bit crazy, emphasis on little, and she blackmailed him to cancel being best man, otherwise she would have ended the relationship, he suddenly said that he can understand Courtney now, and he has to stay loyal to her. No, you don't! He said straight to the face of my fiancé, "Now I also think it's more important to stay with Courtney the weekend of your wedding to watch the puppy together. I don't think she has anything to apologize for, and maybe you two should apologize to her. I can't understand why you were mad at her." Fuck you, Mike! I hate you, Mike. I hope you know that, Mike. You two deserve each other. My fiancé was in total shock and said to him, "Thanks for letting me know your true feelings." He asked him if they could just talk, just the two of them, one last time, but Mike declined. He would only meet with my fiancé if all four of us are present, because Courtney and him have no secrets between them, and he doesn't see any sense in talking to my fiancé alone. That was the final straw. Not being able to meet together without Courtney? Oh shit. We cut absolutely all contact to Mike, and my fiancé grieves him like he's dead. All of our shared friends took our side and tried to talk some sense into Mike, but he doesn't listen. So thank you for the tips. It was right to try to leave the door open for Mike, but all the emotional hurt my fiancé has endured is now enough. Sadly, it is not a happy end with a separation from Courtney, as most of you had hoped. In the comments, Cheeseball Fondue says, "Mike's gonna wake up in a few years and realize that he has no friends, a crazy mean wife, and is stuck with her because of the kids. Or maybe just the dog. That dog will be gone once she gets pregnant with a real baby. The puppy is just a surrogate child in her mind. Courtney is going to isolate Mike from everyone who loves him. He'll regret it eventually, but it might be too late at that point. I can't blame OP and her fiancé for washing their hands, not their circus or rabid monkeys. Look at how many people she managed to isolate him from in one go. All his friends are probably gone now, so she only has his family left to get rid of, and she's already started by not allowing his mother to watch the puppy for a weekend. I also once had an imaginary dog that I used to make weird demands about. I was 3. Abuse without physical marks makes it so hard for those in it to believe that it is happening. I include myself. Maybe it's because we're mostly cautioned against physical abuse via media, whatever is taught in secondary school, assuming at all. No idea. I wish Mike all the best things in this world, and I'm glad that OP and her fiancé are not going to exert themselves attempting to rescue him. At a certain point, I've had to tell my friends, "I love you. It does not mean that I can watch you do this any longer. Call me when you're ready to not endure this any longer." I know it's easier said than done when a friend has hurt you, but I was hoping that they'd keep a line open for Mike, because isolation is only going to be the first step in this abusive relationship. I think that what you've said to your friends is the best way to go about it, and I'm sorry that you've had to go through it. Yeah, I had the ick for Courtney from day one, and if that were me choosing a partner, I would be running for the hills. It's so sad to think of as well. It's kind of like a movie trope thing where there's an obviously abusive partner, and that other partner is just so spineless and falls under their trap, and you see them grow old together, and that person is just stuck. They can't get out there because they're like an elephant with a rope around their neck that can escape, and they're like, "I just don't believe in myself anymore. I can't get out of this." Mike, you are spineless right now, and you need to grow a spine and get the hell out of there, because Courtney is no good for you, brother. You deserve more than that. Look at your life now compared to before you got with Courtney. Everything's going to shit, and that's her fault, and that's your fault for putting up with it and enabling it. And if that's what you're happy with going forward in your life, then fair enough, Mike, but, don't expect anyone else to put up with that shit. Am I the asshole for not sending my younger daughter to private school? I'm really wondering if I'm the asshole in this situation, or I'm just being reasonable with finances. Thanks in advance for help. I have 2 daughters, Abby and Sarah. Abby is 2 years older than Sarah and is incredibly diligent, hardworking, and intelligent. She's a sophomore in high school, where she excels in all of her subjects in school, and is in honors and higher level, junior/senior classes. She attends a private school where we pay a hefty tuition. But it was obvious to me and my wife in her middle school years that she would do great there, so we bit the bullet and we paid. She's proven us right in every regard. Sarah is in the 8th grade and has already begun to excitedly talk about how excited she is about the art program at the private school that her sister attends. Sarah has a beautiful heart and is one of the kindest people that I know. She's also very talented at art, but the program at our local public high school is good as well. She is not as diligent or hardworking as Abby is, or was at Sarah's age, and can be a bit of a slacker when it comes to STEM. She does alright in English and history. She's about average. In the comments, PsychoMini624 says, "You're the asshole. The world would be a very depressing place if everyone was in STEM. Just because her talents lie outside of guaranteed Ivies doesn't mean they don't have intrinsic value and shouldn't be nurtured." OP replies, "Understand completely. This is why we buy her art products, allow her to take art classes at her school instead of more STEM-oriented electives. But it just does not make sense to me to pay for her to attend a school that does not suit her. So send her to an arts-based private school. They exist and would guarantee her a spot at a top arts institute." And OP says, "Don't really understand how I'm supposed to justify, financially, sending her to something that she's already doing well at home. You simply do not need art schools the way that you need regular ones. She has natural talent and can foster it without spending thousands." OP adds, "Congratulations on your educational advances. I'm sure you will do well. If I have to be honest, I see art as more of a hobby and not a career. I am fully willing to support my daughter in her hobbies, but I really do not understand how I'm supposed to throw money at high school where it will just dig her deeper into a non-lucrative niche." You're the asshole. A giant, gaping, bleeding asshole. Both of your daughters are correct. As someone who was the "and then there was an accident" growing up, don't do this. Your oldest will view you both as morons, and your youngest will carry this scar deep for the rest of her life. My sister has always been smarter in school and better at learning in general. We were never sent to different schools or given different upbringings by our parents. They are proud of the both of us. But I learn at a slower pace than she does and study tourism, where my sister has graduated her master's in law. I already feel bad about this sometimes, all due to my own thoughts, let alone if my parents had added to these thoughts by actively showing that I was doing worse and not worth the same as my sister when it comes to education. Major asshole OP. Cut this behavior out before you permanently damage your child's confidence and trust in you." Hunter of the Shadows responds, "I think the ship has sailed when it comes to permanent damage, sadly. I was a bad student for most of middle school. When my final grades came back and I could start at an average school, my parents and teacher were ecstatic that I scored so much higher than expected. That felt really bad and stuck with me. 2 years later, I'm skipping years and on my way to university-level education. How? Because I got a fighting chance to get there. Everybody studies at their own pace. Everyone deserves a chance. I don't live in the States, so this may not make sense. I'm simplifying things as well. I feel bad for both these kids. Sarah for the obvious ugly duckling they have her condescendingly pitted as at 13, and the damage that it has and will do to her. Her own parents' deterministic views will not even give her the opportunity to improve where she is not great, thanks to smaller classrooms and presumably more involved teachers. Nor will they do what they can to help her excel where she is great. They have pitted her as mediocre. Her own effing parents. And Abby for the pressure that they're putting on her and the hell that will be raised if she doesn't get into an Ivy because all the grades in the world do not guarantee shit. Your kid is good at school. Great. So are loads and loads of other kids. Some of these kids are interesting in addition to having the grades. Some kids don't have straight A's, but are perceived as having more to bring to an Ivy than a private school kid for whatever reason. And some kids have parents who either went to the Ivy or have library and hall money to give to said Ivy. But OP and his wife won't see this. They will likely blame, or at the least resent her, and throw in her face the years of private school tuition they've invested in her, and then will only remember that it didn't pay off. OP claims that he has a great relationship with his daughters. OP is delusional. But make no mistake, give it a few years and both of these kids' independence, and he will finally realize it. Yeah, I think I'm in a bit of a situation here where OP doesn't state outright that, I don't want to put the money towards it. It's because, I don't think that she'd excel in a private school. And then they say, well, there's actually private schools for art. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to shift the goalposts a little bit. It was actually about money the whole time, and I don't want her doing that. You're all well and good to not send her to a private school and not waste your money, in your eyes, OP, but think a little bit down the track here and see that she may just use this against you and resent you and not talk to you again. Obviously, that is one possibility of many. I don't know your financial situation. I don't know if you guys would go into homelessness if she was to go into private school, but you are in a rock and a hard place situation here with what your next decision is. I think showing obvious favoritism to your kids and singling one out of the two because one is a fish that cannot climb a tree and the other is a monkey, so therefore the monkey gets the reward, is really unfair and it's not going to do you good. It makes you look like such an asshole. I'm going to go with you're the asshole for this one, but I understand where you're coming from. And now, onto the updates. I do not know if there's generally updates here, but the amount of aggressive and angry messages I received, thanks, showed me that if people are passionate about a stranger, then I must be a bigger jerk than I thought. I still do not see the other side of the situation and think that I am correct, but this is bigger than me. And I decided it is not worth it to lose a relationship with my daughter on the off chance that they are right. My wife encouraged me to look into art programs for Sarah, saying she didn't want to take the back seat on this one, since Sarah spent most of the night crying to Mum. I have apologized to the both of them, as well as Abby, and agreed to send her to a private school as well. I still think that it's low merit, so I told Sarah that she could attend the arts-oriented program on the condition that she also utilize the other resources, STEM, English, etc., at the school. Thank you for the constructive feedback, some of you. In the comments, Evil Queen Marceline says, "How do you still not see the other side of this? 100 people have laid it out for you 100 different ways. And just so you know, if your attitude towards Sarah continues to remain unchanged, as it seems it will, you'll cause long-lasting problems for her and your family, even if you send her to the private school. This is more than the school. It's about your underlying feelings about your daughter's worth." He's already done that. His daughter knows that he doesn't give a damn about her, and she's going to carry that weight forever. The dude better hope that his daughter can forgive him, but he's probably going to do some other preferential shit down the road that's going to destroy his relationship with his daughter. I told my daughters that I love and value them both, but since Sarah's talents are not as easily monetized, I don't think that I should have to spend money on her education, as her skills, which are a big part of her identity, are just not as valuable. How do I get her to accept that just because I disagree and disrespect the essence of what she is and will not invest in her, that I'm not the bad guy here? I also like the fact that he is grudgingly conceding to spending the money, but with ill grace, and continued muttering that he is investing in low-value skills. He has basically materially been supporting her, but doing it in a way that she will still resent him. Way to go, Superbrain. You managed to put yourself in a situation where you lose out materially and still end up being the bad guy. I also wonder if he downplayed the wife's response. It sounds a bit like she's let him lead the educational decisions before this, but the update said that she'd told OP that he'd better start looking for arts programs and that she wasn't going to take the back seat on this one. It might have been better if either parents had realized from the beginning that treating your children equally is usually the best option. but if she's seen the reaction from both children and decided that they need to change their approach and support Sarah better, then she's at least improving her parenting. And the daughters will see that reaction and compare it to Dad begrudgingly seeing that he has no choice but to fork out the cash now, but clearly is only doing it under sufferance. I think the response is played down because she never actually agreed with him. This comes across like he assumes his wife is siding with him, when in actuality, he's making unilateral decisions that she doesn't feel are big enough to challenge him. Choosing battles seems like a trend in their marriage, and it's one-sided. I could be really wrong though. Quote, don't really understand how I'm supposed to justify financially sending her to something that she's already doing well at home. Abby already did well at all of her subjects at home and in public school, yet he was able to justify sending her to a private school to continue her studies, but he can't justify spending an equivalent amount of money and/or attention on Sarah because she's already doing well at art at home and in public school? And he still doesn't understand the other side of this? Man, screw this guy. How about making their child feel loved and happy for justification? Whoa. Let's first have one kid set up for life before we even consider paying attention to the other one. He's not paying her attention though. He's worked out the cost-benefit analysis and decided that not pissing off the other two women in his life that he sorta cares about, and what the consequences of that could mean for his own life, are worth the dollar value that he sees going down the drain after his low-merit daughter and her useless arts programs. Holy fuck! It's scary how accurate your summary is. Maybe it will sink in for him when she doesn't ask him to walk her down the aisle when she gets married someday. But I doubt it. I work in admissions at a highly selective university in the US, and I'm laughing at OP's naivety with essentially guaranteed a spot in the Ivies. Ha! Highly selective universities get more than 10 straight A's, most demanding rigor, outstanding extracurriculars applicants for every one they admit. There is no guarantee. Unless perhaps you have a very recognizable last name. OP is not only an asshole and a bad parent, they are also very underinformed about college admissions today. That was my first thought too. It's been years. How did your investment pay off, OP? 5 years. His prize daughter is a couple of years into college. It would be interesting. I can see both daughters not talking to OP when they grow up. The oldest for all the pressure to be perfect, smart, hardworking daughter, they sacrifice so much for her to give her a private school education and is destined for the Ivies. And then the youngest for being pushed aside for her perfect older sister, who they gave all they had for, whose parents don't understand her hobby and why she thinks that she can make money from it. Since, STEMs are the only career path. That's right, kids. You too can do a non-STEM career path if you just start narrating for a living. That's a viable career path, isn't it? Hell yeah. But in all actuality, I would love to have seen another update for this one and seen where they are 5 years on from that story. It would be very interesting to see if the younger daughter here is still talking to OP. At least he did the right thing in getting her into an art school. I really hope that those 5 years have changed him, but I don't think we'll ever get the answer for this one, guys. So, all's well that ends well, right? Huh? Our next post is by user Goat7618, titled, My 20 male, best friend, lesbian 20 female, said that she has feelings for me. Now we're both confused. Just to give some context, I've known this girl, let's call her Kay, since we were 14. I met Kay when we were paired up in a group project for this one class. I found out that we had a lot in common, and we became friends. Over time, I developed a huge crush on her. Sophomore year, I asked her to homecoming and she said yes. It was a good time, but after it didn't really lead to anything, I got the sense that she didn't like me the way that I liked her. In junior year, Kay came out as lesbian. Honestly, I wasn't super surprised, but I was a little heartbroken. I decided to put all my feelings away and then just be supportive. I was really enjoying my senior year. I started dating this girl this summer before school started, thanks to Kay's for setting us up, and things were going well until COVID hit. My girlfriend broke up with me because she couldn't handle a relationship at the time. I was sad about that, but more upset that I was going to miss things like prom and senior trip. Kay knew that I was upset and invited me over for a fake prom, which consisted of us getting dressed up for photos and immediately going inside to play old Wii games and then watch movies. She even brought some of my favorite snacks. Still probably the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. First year of college sucked. Nothing noteworthy happened other than Kay and I going to the same school. Kay started to date this girl who I'm 99% sure hated me for no reason. They break up in the summer, and now we can move on to the important part of my story. Kay and I decided to get a place near campus together for this school year. Her mum thought that it was weird, but her dad, who's the coolest guy ever by the way, thought that it was a good idea. We've had lots of good times so far. My favorite thing about living together has been our late night talks. We talk about anything from school, sports, hot girls, bad hookups, etc. Last night during one of our talks, Kay randomly brings up that she might be bisexual. I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little jealous thinking that she hooked up with a random guy, but she tells me that she has feelings for me. I kinda laughed it off at first until she started crying. She said she started having feelings for me about a month ago and was super confused about her sexuality. I apologized for laughing and said that we'd talk tomorrow. I didn't want to make any bad decisions that could ruin our friendship, so right now she's at class and I'm just alone thinking. This is literally a dream come true, so why am I hesitating at all? I guess I don't want her to just immediately change her mind after and then make things weird between us. I'm anxiously waiting for her to get back. I really do love her, though I never thought that I'd have a chance at this kind of love. Any advice on what I should say to her when she gets back? I feel like I'm overthinking this. In the comments, Kazahani1 says, "You just gotta be honest with her. Tell her how you've always felt and ask her what she wants to do. Admit that you were scared of things not working out. Try to decide if you want to try it anyway. From the tone of your post, it seems like you might regret it forever if you don't try it with her." And OP replies, "You're definitely right about that last point. I'll always wonder what might have been if I don't try." Go for it, my boy. Communicate a lot with each other. If it doesn't work out, you'll at least want that friendship. You've known each other for 6 years. You guys should be pretty solid. And OP replies, "I'll go for it. She should be here soon, and yeah, my hope is that we'll at least still be friends by the end of this." My vote is not the asshole for this one, OP. If anyone else thinks that OP is not the asshole, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I, for one, think this is insanely cute, and I want to see you guys have your own happily ever after in this one, while I don't have my own happily ever after, and I'm stuck in this recording booth forever. At least someone else can succeed. And now, onto the update. First of all, thanks to the people who commented on my original post. So Kay got here later than usual so that she could finish an assignment and have the whole night to talk. When she walked in, we both smiled at each other and didn't say anything. I thought the mood was going to be lighthearted, but as soon as we started talking, we both got really emotional. I took the advice to just be completely honest about how I felt. I told her how I had a huge crush on her when we first met. She knew. I also told her how grateful I was just to have her in my life, and that whatever happens, I don't want to ruin that. Kay agreed and gave her side of the story. The long comment on my original post pretty much nailed what she was feeling. She felt like she was stuck with the label that she put on herself when she was younger. After her last breakup, she started to question herself and her feelings towards me. She eventually sorted out her feelings last month, but she was afraid to tell me. We laid out some of the possible risks of being together, but realized we were probably being too hard on ourselves. So we're going to give this relationship a try. We're going to take it slow and communicate a lot about how we're feeling. We ended the night with a long hug and some more tears. Yesterday morning, we talked some more about things like spring break plans and when we would tell our parents and friends. Parents will come when the time is right, but our friends will probably just figure it out themselves, lol. Honestly, there was a super awkward vibe between us in the morning. I think that both of us were scared of trying to make a move or trying something different. We both thought of some fun date ideas for this week to break the awkwardness, and things were a lot better last night. We cuddled for a while, which wasn't really something new, but it feels a lot better now. Overall, I'm just hoping that I don't mess this up. We have a week off from work and school starting today, so it should be a good time. Thanks again to the few people who commented on my first post. I think I just needed to see someone say, go for it. And now on to update 2. Now we are no longer confused, smiley face. Hey, thought I'd give a quick update to the people who followed and asked me to keep them updated. Probably my last post for a long time. I don't really want to keep posting my personal life on here. So Kay and I already had plans to visit our families for spring break before we entered our relationship, which sucked because we didn't want to be apart. We live like 10 minutes from each other, so yesterday we just drove back in one car. Wow, way to make it obvious. I said screw it and convinced my parents to let Kay and her parents come over for dinner. Dinner was good, and we all played a few games afterwards. We had to hold in our laughter when her dad made a comment about how nice it is that Kay and I have been friends for so long. I guess it's possible that he knows because that's definitely his style of humor. Now the biggest part of the updates. We had our first kiss. Kay wanted to go on a late night drive just like we used to. I was dropping her off, and she just leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't super long, but it was really nice. We have some plans for this week, but we're also broke as hell, so... Like I said, I'm probably done posting these for now. I feel like first kiss is a good note to end on. Thanks for all the nice comments, and if I do post again, hopefully it's a positive update. And now for our next update, titled, Wonder if anyone remembers my posts. Lesbian best friend confessed that she has feelings for me. Hey, I saw a few notifications about new followers on this profile, and apparently my post was shared somewhere, so that's cool. I figured I could give a quick update about Kay and I. These last 2 months flew by. The relationship is going great. Not much has changed in our dynamic except we kiss and have sex now. We just moved out of our apartment because the semester is over. I'm gonna miss that place. We were planning on telling people about us once the semester was over, but someone got drunk and posted a picture of us kissing on their Instagram story. Of course, Kay's parents saw it and told my parents because they are all friends. They were happy for us, so that's good. So yeah, that's about it. It's funny looking back at how nervous I was. And now on to another update, titled, 1 year update to my best friend, lesbian, now 21 female. She's a lesbian that turned into a 21, okay. Or is she just lesbian now? She's not bi anymore. Has feelings for me, now 21 male. Good news is that Kay and I are still together a little over a year later. It still feels surreal that we're actually together, so I just wanted to share a couple of stories from the past year and clarify some things that I've seen in the comments. So overall, things are going great. Last summer was basically our time to get used to being a couple. The transition from friends to dating was easy. It was only a little bit awkward the first time that we were together around our families. Like most of you guys said, Kay's dad had a good feeling that this would happen. He actually made a bet with Kay's brother 2 years ago that we would eventually date. We moved back in together when this school year started. We also both turned 21 this year. Kay's 21st birthday party delivered an all-time great moment, but don't ask about it. When my posts were put on Best Of, Kay and I spent one night going through all of the comments. We're happy that so many of you loved our story, and yes, I know why Kay's ex hated me. I just meant that I didn't do anything to her or try to take away from their relationship. So thanks for the support. Here is to 1 year and hopefully many more. And now onto the latest updates, 2-year update for me and Kay, 22 male and 22 female. So I guess I have to do another update because it got posted on Best Of again and my DMs are blowing up. Yes, Kay and I are still together and going strong. We graduate in less than a month, which is pretty crazy. It's going to be sad to leave the place that this all started, but I'm excited to see what's next, because to be completely honest, I have no clue what's next. Always gonna love coming back and reading my original posts and seeing how everyone else has responded to them. I am forever grateful for all the advice that I got. It changed my life. If anyone wants to ask me anything, go ahead, but other than that, I'll see y'all whenever my DMs blow up again. In the comments, Flykenask says, I'm glad that you are both still a couple and things are going great. Congratulations on your soon graduation. I hope that everything keeps great as it has been. A side note, I got curious about what happened to Kay's last year birthday, but you told us not to ask, but that made me more curious about it. I hope to hear from you with more good updates. OP says, Lamau, to answer your question, let's just say that I drank way too much and I ended up breaking my wrist. My wife fell into the label trap, like Kay did, when she was young and didn't realize that being bi was a thing. On the other hand, in 30 years of relationships, I've never had the least bit of a sign that I'm anything but a lesbian. It can take some people a while to figure themselves out, and that's okay. I'm glad that OP and Kay are happy, and that Kay didn't keep trying to cram herself into a box that wasn't a good fit. Yeah, I did the same as your wife. I had an identity crisis at 20 because I always thought that I was a lesbian, and then suddenly I liked men. Was somehow much harder coming to terms with that than with liking girls. I was watching a Q&A of a comedy troupe that I watch, and somebody asked what it was like when two of the members got married. He essentially said, she was my best friend before we got married, and now I'm married to my best friend. The taxes are different, and we have better legal protections than if we were still dating. My partner and I have 3 anniversaries. The day we met, the day we became a couple, and the day that the government decided that we needed to start filing taxes together. We aren't married, common law counts. Oh, well, all's well that ends well on this one, guys. If there is another update, I'm sure that I'll address it in the future. But as it stands right now, I'm very happy about that one. I'm not too happy about the first story, but hey, I'm sure in 5 years things got better, because in 2 years things got really good for this couple, so just because the second story ended well, that means to me the first story will end well. I'm channeling good vibes, okay? Am I the asshole for calling off my engagement because my ex-fiancé invited my dad to our wedding? I'm planning to delete my account, but I need outside perspective and I can't go to friends or family. I, 29 female, met my ex, 32 male, in college. He knew all about my troubled relationship with my dad. Growing up, my dad struggled with addiction, cheated on my mum, and left us in debt. I only learned about his emotional and physical abuse towards my mum and siblings when I was much older. As the youngest, my memories are fuzzy, so family hid this from me, thinking that it was best because they wanted me to have a good relationship with him. My dad wasn't actively involved in my life, and we didn't see each other often, even though my mum let him come over whenever he wanted. He would promise to take me out on weekends, but he would never show up. When we did go out, he would yell at the servers and threaten to beat or kill them. He would get in races with strangers and go 100 miles an hour with me in the car, and he would always criticize my mum to my face. I have so many stories, but 2 extreme ones are the times that he tackled a boy my age for talking to me and then started beating him. He left him bleeding on the floor and dragged me to the car, crying and shaking. The other is the time that he took me out for my 15th birthday, like my actual birthday, and he abandoned me at the mall. It was about 3 cities over from where I lived, and I didn't know what to do, so I decided to try to take the bus home. I got lost and called my best friend. She and her older brother went to pick me up. That was the last time that I saw him. The crazy thing was that at the end of each visit, he'd tell me to wait in the car for hours while he went to his friend's house. I just listened to music. It would be maybe 2 to 3 hours of us hanging out and another 4 to 5 hours of me sitting in the car. My mum thought that we'd be hanging out all day, but obviously not. Despite my dad's behavior, we still spoke on the phone from time to time. I felt bad that he didn't have anyone in his life. He'd tell me that all his family hated him, and I thought that that was really sad. Then one day my mum decided to divorce him. He refused to give her divorce until I stepped in. I saw that my mum was finally confident enough to make this step and thought that it was so cruel that he wouldn't do this for her. I basically told him that I thought that it was unfair and I would like him to please do it for me. He agreed, and I thought that our relationship would improve because he showed me that he really cared about me. Yet, even after the divorce, he remained distant and had another child. He only reached out when he needed help with paperwork, writing emails, or just other favors. Eventually, he crossed a line by asking me to forge my mum's signature, and I told him that I couldn't help him. He called me a stupid biatch like my mother, and I told my family. He did a lot of reckless things, but this was the first time that he ever called me a name. That's when they told me the truth about his abuse and drug use. I knew he cheated, and we went through financial issues, but I didn't realize the severity of the situation. I realized that all the times he made it seem like he was just disliked and going through a rough time, he was actually just trying to get sympathy from me. It wasn't that he was hated because he cheated, it was because of all the other crap that he did. When I tried calling him, he texted me that I was ungrateful since I couldn't help with one little thing: forging a document? Considering that he did me a favor by giving my mum the divorce and I owed him. He blocked my number, and his baby mama ended up texting me, telling me that all the times that he wanted to go out with me, he just used me as an excuse to borrow his sister's car, and he actually just needed the car to drive to his dealer's house for drugs or her house for sex. I confided in my ex about my dad's manipulative behavior and my decision to cut him out of my life when we started to get serious. My ex understood and supported me. I feel like there are two versions of my father. The one that I saw was reckless and careless, which I chalked up to him being lonely and missing his family, and a more darker version that I've never had to encounter. I realized I should have said something about all of the things that he did, but that I was just trying to make my dad and my family happy. He helped me to get out of my people-pleasing ways. He helped me stick by my decisions and not feel guilty for saying no. He had a great relationship with my family, which made me feel even more confident in our relationship. I felt like I could rely and depend on him. When we started planning our wedding, my ex asked about my dad, but I made it clear that I didn't want him there. He hadn't been a part of my life for 7 years, and I wasn't ready to reconcile with him, especially not at my wedding. However, one day I came home to find my dad there, invited by my ex to bury the hatchet. I was shocked and devastated. My ex's actions just completely disregarded my feelings and boundaries. I couldn't believe that he would do this knowing how I felt about my dad and without asking me first. My dad made a comment about how glad he was that I came to my senses and how excited he was to go to my wedding, making suggestions that my half-brother could be the ring bearer. I asked my dad to leave and warned him to not contact me again. My ex was furious since he believed that I should forgive my dad and work on repairing our relationship. But I don't understand why I should forgive him when he was the one who cut ties with me. More importantly, I couldn't forgive someone who hadn't even apologized for their past actions. He believed that enough time had passed to allow me to work on forgiving him, but I argued that it's not fair that I have to put in that work. My number hasn't changed. My dad hasn't done anything to show me that he's changed. Sure, he gave my mum the divorce, but he never apologized for any of the crap that he pulled and was happy to get along with the facade of him being a guy who cheated and made a mistake so that he was vilified. I asked him how long he'd been in contact with my dad, and it turned out he'd been in contact with him for 6 months. I felt so disrespected and hurt by my ex's actions. I decided to call off the wedding and told him that we need to rebuild the trust and communication in our relationship before we get married. But my ex refused, saying that it was either we get married or break up. So I ended the engagement. He knew that I had issues with the lack of honesty and communication from so many people in my life, the decisions made on my behalf without regard for my feelings, and the years that I spent trying to appease others. And yet by trying to force my father back into my life, it was like he was deliberately trying to set off my triggers. I still don't understand why he reached out to him if he said he understood my reasons for not wanting my dad there. I still love him, so it hurts, but I thought that I did the right thing. Now it doesn't help that I'm getting so much hate from my ex's family, who are calling me names and blaming me for breaking his heart. They're calling me the asshole for being so insensitive about this and for overreacting. With the amount of flack I'm getting, I'm starting to feel like the asshole. Did I do the right thing? Edit. A few people have messaged me and asked me to update them. I was planning on deleting my account, but the fact that so many people took the time to give me advice and help me actually makes me feel better. I can't express how validating it feels to know that I made the right decision. I was contemplating going back to my ex, but now I realize he might not have been the nice guy that everyone thinks he is. And truth be told, I was planning to stand up to myself to my ex's mum, but I lost my nerve because I started to think that I was the asshole, and that's why I made the post. I also just started feeling like a jerk. I guess you have a bunch of people telling you something, you start to believe it a little bit. I'm going to contact my ex's mum and have a one-on-one with her, and I'm going to tell my ex that he needs to move all of his stuff out of the apartment. It's been about a month since we broke up, so he needs to get his stuff out. I will update if anything comes from that, but if I don't have anything else to say, I'll delete. Thank you all for your support. Additional info from OP. When we first started dating, he would constantly ask me about my dad and traumas. I thought that he just really cared, and even when it was uncomfortable for me, he pushed me to open up because he wanted me to know that I could tell him anything. And I was very school-focused. I didn't go to parties or clubs, I just went to class, lectures, symposiums, and he thought that it was because I was trying to distract myself from my problems and trying to keep my shields up. He told me that he'd help me to get out of my shell because that's what people our age did. Was he just manipulating me this entire time and I didn't see it? In the comments, Lynn K. Deborah says, "Your ex is ridiculous. Stop communicating with his family or him. That's why they're called exes. Your dad sounds like a malignant narcissist. No contact is the way to protect yourself." OP did the only possible thing. X has an idea of how the world should work, might have a little bit of a savior complex too. He helped OP in other ways, and for his next trick, he's gonna fix the dad's relationship. Maybe in a year, or 3, he'll turn water into wine. Or maybe the model is Pygmalion. What he did was gross and unforgivable, but OP isn't on her knees thanking him for his savior act, so that makes him angry. Block all of his family and friends, OP, and stay the hell away from this guy. He's sick inside. If you go back to him, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Move on with your life and minimize the amount of time that you think about him. Not the asshole. The fact that you were willing to work on this after your dad showed up on your door is insane. Your ex is trash, and it's so good that he took himself out before you got married. He was the one who ruined this relationship, not you. Not the asshole. Not telling you that he was in contact with your dad was a lie by omission. In other words, he was lying to you for 6 months. That's no way to start a marriage. Going forward, block the ex and block his family. Come up with a consistent message to respond to people with, and simply repeat the message if they get through to you somehow. Practice saying it out loud so that it's easy to say if you run into them in public. In my head, it's something like this. X lied to me for 6 months by hiding the fact that he was talking to someone that I despise. I will not marry someone that is so comfortable violating my boundaries. Now please, leave me alone and do not contact me anymore. And now, onto the update. Just a quick update. I'm going back to therapy, but everyone who responded to my post really gave me the reassurance that I did the right thing. My dad hasn't come by my apartment, but I'm planning to move out. I've been staying in a sublet apartment since I didn't renew my lease on my last place. My ex and I had planned to move in together. I'm moving in with my sister, and she has a den in her house that she's converting into a bedroom. It's adding much more time to my commutes, but I'll do it for now. I'm going to change my number, and I'm not planning to give it to my ex or his family, but I did want to reach out to his mom. We've been a part of each other's lives for a long time, but I wanted her to know that this wasn't how I wanted things to be. Of the people who contacted me, she was not aggressive towards me. I should have been more clear in my initial post that she was just very disappointed. My ex's dad, sister, cousins, and aunts were the ones harassing me, and I was blocking them, but they were using other numbers, probably belonging to other family members or their partners, and they were making fake online profiles so they can message me through Instagram. Even if a profile is private, you can still receive messages. I called his mom and she was cold, but I explained how hurtful their treatment of me was. She was apologetic, but she said she thinks people were just mad and didn't understand how I could just end our relationship because my ex asked if I wanted to invite my dad. I was confused and told her that he did ask me when we first got engaged. and I didn't immediately call off or end our relationship. I postponed the engagement because he straight up invited my dad, despite my telling him that I didn't want him there. I only ended the relationship because he gave me an ultimatum. She asked why I never said anything to anyone, and I told her because no one asked. I just got sent a bunch of hateful messages. Why would I respond to people who treated me like that? She was apologetic and told me that she'd make sure that her family knew. I told her that it didn't really matter now, but I just wanted her to know because she was important to me, and I thought maybe I was important to her too. She got really sad after that and started crying, so I guess she does care somewhat. I've gotten a few other texts from people, and they've been very apologetic too. I'm not expecting anything from those who haven't messaged me, but it's nice to know that there are some people who are willing to put their ego aside to apologize. I looked online, but I couldn't really find a response about how long my ex can keep his stuff at my place. When we first broke up, I sent him an email and text, but he never responded. So I tried calling him, emailed and texted him again, and I mailed him a letter letting him know that he had 30 days to get his things, with copies of my initial text and email asking for him to claim his items. I don't know if he got my letter, but yesterday he texted me and asked me if when he came to pick up his things, we could talk alone. I was hesitant, but I guess I really just want to put all of this behind me, and I want to make that clear to him in person. I told him we could meet in a public place, and he agreed. My brother drove me to a cafe this morning and waited in the outside patio while I went to meet my ex. According to him, he got it in his head that he was going to be making a childhood dream of mine come true, which was having a real relationship with my dad. I did tell him that once, that when I was younger and asked my dad to consider signing my mum's divorce papers, I hoped that we could rebuild our relationship to the point where he could walk me down the aisle and dance with me at my wedding. But that was years ago, before my dad blocked me, before I learned the truth about his physical, mental, and emotional abuse towards my mum and siblings, and before I really came to terms with just how manipulative and careless he had been toward me. Plus, the whole thing was that I wanted to make sure that our relationship got to a point where he could come to my wedding. He didn't put in any effort or work to rebuild our relationship, so it makes no sense for him to just show up out of nowhere. He apologized and admitted that when he saw my reaction, he knew he messed up, but he didn't know how to admit that. So he only gave me that ultimatum as a bluff. He never expected me to actually break off the engagement, but he had already dug himself so deep that he didn't know what to do. And he said he lied to his family because he knew that he was wrong and didn't want his family to hate him. He asked if we could work on our relationship and go to couples therapy. He told me that we could start over, but I just said no. I don't think he had good intentions, and pointed out, like so many others did, that he went against my wishes and brought my dad back into my life. He was 6 months in contact with an abuser and never told me. His ultimatum, the fact that he realized he was wrong and didn't apologize, and the fact that he lied to his family was all very manipulative. A few people pointed out that he might have a savior complex. I've been reevaluating our relationship, and I feel like that may be the case. Either way, none of that matters anymore. I don't want him in my life. I don't think he'll be trying to come back into my life anytime soon. He cares too much about appearances to try and pull anything. He's supposed to get his things tomorrow, my brother and uncle will be present, and they are both big guys, and I know that he's intimidated by them. I'm not planning to stay in the apartment in the meantime, and the only friend who knows where I'm going is my childhood friend of 20 years. I think that's about it. Smiley face. I'm gonna stay single for a while. I'm gonna go to therapy and just stay active and enjoy life. In the comments, Emanuela70 says, "Well done, clap clap. I don't know that you need therapy. You've stood up for yourself. You have handled the whole thing beautifully. Block all of those people everywhere you can, move on, and have a great life." And OP replies, "Thanks. I just need to go back to therapy to work through this sudden change in my life, and the sudden appearance of my dad is bringing back a lot of bad memories and feelings. Plus, in reevaluating my relationship, I realized that there were probably a lot of moments that my ex was manipulating and gaslighting me. I didn't know how to recognize that, or maybe I did subconsciously and just chose to ignore it. Either way, I tend to either go to one or two extremes. I get too independent, don't allow myself to get vulnerable, and not be transparent about my emotions. I think I exercised the right amount of self-preservation with how I handled the breakup and sticking to my boundaries. But in the future, I might end up going to the extreme again and keeping people out of my life, or I end up in a relationship with another manipulative person and ignore the signs. I still have stuff to work on, I guess. Export XXX says, what really seals the breakup is the fact that he lies to his family and they attack you over it. Maybe, just maybe, you could have gotten past it all if you had a break and he talked to you instead of ultimatuming you. But having family attack you is just over the line. OP replies, yeah, I feel like he told them because he knew that they would attack me and make me feel like I was in the wrong. Like he was trying to break my self-esteem and fill my head with lies. It almost worked too, which is the crazy part. He didn't admit to it, but I wouldn't put it past him considering everything else he did. Sorry about everything that happened. I hope you find someone really amazing. I hate people making up lies or even false accusations. That piece of garbage and his goons should be forced to endure double the harassment that OP had to. I fear they hate me. You absolute coward. At least it's over now and OP got rid of the human garbage. He still had the nerve to ask for another chance though. The ego on that guy. Hey guys, I disregarded my fiance's boundaries, doubled down and gave her an ultimatum instead of apologizing, and lied to my family about why we broke up. I feel like the relationship was going well and I can't figure out why she left me. Any advice on how to win her back? I know, let's all harass her and call her names. Who's with me? OP's ex yeah, that'll show her that it was a big mistake to break up with me. I feel really good about this plan. What always gets me about stories like this is how easy it should be to not nuke your relationship from orbit. All this dude had to do was nothing. The laziest, easiest thing for him to do was nothing. Say nothing. Ignore whatever relationship issues his partner had with her father, though she had told him already, probably several times. Your life moves on. You get married with her. You are not at all affected by however she manages that relationship with her father. But no! He took the initiative and the effort to track him down, communicate with him about everything, arrange for him to ambush his partner, and hide everything until then. Where's that kind of effort to give her a surprise birthday party with people she actually likes and wants in her life? A surprise birthday party doesn't show OP that he is smarter and knows better than she does. What an ass he is. I hope he remains single forever. Our next post is by user Family Heiress, titled, Boyfriend 28 male found out how much money I, 28 female, have. He wants me to pay off a house for us as well as a new car and fund a trip for him to go abroad. Should I end it? I want to make it clear that I've always spent money on my boyfriend, buying him nice things and whatnot. He got this PS4 and a new gaming PC because of me. My boyfriend, however, found out that I have a good amount of money and has started to be quite weird about it. Several times, he's referred to my money as our money, and using our money to buy him the luxury car that he's dreamt of having. He wants us to move out of separate apartments and get a house together, and has said instead of him getting a small Christmas gift that I should fund him a trip to see Europe. I'm from Italy and have family in Bulgaria, Croatia, and the Netherlands, and he is from Canada. Buying the luxury car, it's less whether I can afford it, and more that it seems like something you get your husband or wife, not your boyfriend of 3 years. The house I can understand if we were engaged or something, but we aren't, though he's talked about marriage several times in the past few months, and finally, yes, I can afford a trip for the both of us to tour Europe, but whereas it's something that I might have thought of us to do before, he only brought this up after finding out that I do have the money to pay for it. Is this reason enough to break up with him? In the comments, Het33 says, I think the way that he reacted is telling. Asking you to buy him a car is way overboard. If it were me, I probably wouldn't break up with him just for that. I would start with a conversation about money and finances. I would explain that you were looking to keep things separate, and he is in no way entitled to your money. Think about if you truly want a future with someone like him. It sucks that it becomes a problem in relationships. How did he find out about it? OP says, we visited my family in Italy who live pretty extravagantly, and he sort of put two and two together and then asked me what's up, so I told him. Well, either way, the way that he's acting is totally inappropriate. It's one thing to accept gifts that you give him because you want to, it's completely different for him to ask and to expect. Everyone has a different take on finances, but I don't think there should ever be any talk of our money until marriage. Start talking about prenups and watch him freak out. Then you have your answer. How did he find out about you having money? Is he seriously asking you for a luxury car? I don't want to automatically say dump him, but the fact that you suggest dumping him makes me wonder how healthy and happy you are in the relationship and how things were going before he found out about your money. You've been together for 3 years. Were you being treated well? Were you happy? Did he hold down a job consistently? Did he give you gifts of equal value? Had he changed his behavior since finding out about the money? If he's really broke, maybe he's just immature and excited about seeing more possibilities for fun in the future. But that in itself is kind of worrisome, because it seems like he might be into spending your money a little more than you are. I'd recommend making sure that you protect your funds from him if you do decide to continue. OP says, he found out because we went to visit my family in Italy, and my parents, grandparents, and the 2 sets of aunts and uncles that we visited all have very large and lavish places. I live in a smallish apartment that suits my needs, but the difference between my apartment and my home back in Italy was very noticeable. He asked me what was up, and I told him that my family is wealthy, but it's not something that I try to let define me. The relationship was pretty good up until he found out. I would hate to break up with him because I do love him and I love being with him, but the way that he's been acting, plus past experiences, pretty much tells me that things are only going to go south now. I was treated very well. I was happy, and yes, he has a consistent job. OP on having experienced this before. Yup, the sad thing is, this is exactly why an old relationship ended. It got serious, boyfriend found out about money, started going nuts demanding things. OP when asked if she constantly buys gifts. I don't always buy expensive gifts. The PS4 and computer are the only 2 things that qualify as expensive. Everything else is little things here and there. A t-shirt or a snow globe or just something like that. You misunderstand. I don't throw money around. Up until my boyfriend saw my family homes, he had no clue that I had any kind of money, and my own personal finances that I make isn't something that I talk about. I don't go buying cars and all of that crazy stuff. People do randomly buy small tokens for their significant others, you know. If this ends, then single is what I'll be for a while, and any soul searching that happens is for me, not any future relationship or partner. And now, onto the update. So I didn't automatically dump my boyfriend. I decided to have a talk with him. I told him that it was basically really damn inappropriate to find out that I have money and then start making demands. I told him I have no problems using my finances for our relationship, but that he shouldn't automatically expect that I'm going to put out money on very expensive things just for him, just because. He seemed very ashamed and agreed that it was a really crappy thing to do. And he got carried away and a bit too excited. I told him that I understood, but to do that was very disrespectful to me and the time that we've shared together, because it made me feel like all of a sudden, my money is what mattered. For a little while, it seemed like all was well. And then the other day we were having a minor argument over something that turned into a bigger argument, and he said something along the lines of, well, you don't even want to use what you have for us, so maybe you never effing cared about me. He got really quiet as though he knew that was a shitty thing to say, and we didn't talk until 2 days later. I was really angry. I was going to talk things through with him. However, this caused the relationship fatality. He told a couple of people that we're good with, despite me asking him to keep the money quiet, that I was really rich and could afford tons of shit. How did I find out? Well, on Saturday, we all went drinking together. He gets a bit too much in his system and orders an expensive bottle of wine. One of our friends was like, "Who orders that shit? We're good with our beers and that is just too expensive." Our other friend piped up and was like, "No, it's good. OP's really rich. She can pick up our tab tonight." Cue several other people who I've never told about my family's money suddenly grilling me on why I never trusted them enough to tell them about my money, and they thought we were friends. You know, that kind of thing. I broke up with him the next day. He's been blowing up my phone all day, but screw him. I could have moved past what he said the other day when we were arguing, but to tell people that I specifically asked him not to, something that I trusted him with so much, yeah, I've lost a 3-year relationship and am probably going to lose a few friends as well. TLDR, talked to my boyfriend, he said that he would make an effort, he didn't, told some of our friends that I was wealthy, they were shocked I didn't trust them with this, I dumped him, and may lose some friends soon as well. And edit, for everyone asking, the bottle was $460. In the comments, wow, money sure does bring out people's true colors. Whatever your reasons for keeping your money quiet, his reaction was entirely not cool. If you had married him and never told him about it, and you were watching him struggle financially, okay, sure, I can see how that would be a breach of trust, but this? Good grief! Sorry, OP, but it does look like he showed his true colors, and you avoided a life of being mooched off of. One of the reasons to keep quiet about money is that once you have it, there is always some loser who thinks they can hit you up for something. They'd never work 2 jobs to get what they wanted, but would happily lay a guilt trip on you for not being a good friend. If you cannot be my friend when I have a 6-pack in the fridge and a hot pizza delivered, then F off. OP on if she paid for the wine, they said, no, I left in a very pissy mood. Good. What did he do and say when you left, or when you saw him next? OP said, he thought that I was going outside to calm down. About an hour later, he started blowing up my phone. I haven't seen him since, but broke it off over the phone. I'm really amazed he openly said that to your friends after your talk. I don't understand how he couldn't know that telling anyone would screw his relationship with you. He kept his imbecility well hidden for 3 years. OP says, I think he probably told them before we had that talk, because he did know before my last post. I'm a professional tax preparer, and I don't know my friends' incomes. It is none of my business. I don't even encourage them to use my services, because that kind of knowledge cannot benefit a friendship. Yeah, I'm glad that OP is secure enough to recognize her boyfriend for the leech that he is, and cut him out of her life. But I still feel bad for her. She's right, she's probably lost that friend group, and I know how rough it can be having to find new friends. I will never understand why these effing idiots don't just keep their mouths shut and play it cool if they're interested in the money. I mean, what's more likely to result in financial gain? Getting married eventually? Or blowing up their social life and demanding expensive gifts? It doesn't make any sense to me. Thank God these people are too dumb to be good at what they're trying to accomplish. Delayed gratification is hard, empathy is too. Boyfriend never put himself in her shoes and doesn't understand what money means to her. He's kinda dumb too. It should have been more obvious, but apparently this happens often. Am I the asshole here for not inviting my ex-husband's wife to my daughter's birthday party because she told me not to? I, 32 female, have a daughter who is 9 going on 10 female with my ex-husband, 36 male. We divorced when she was 3. He then remarried with one of his co-workers, let's call her M. They also have a son together who is 6 male. My daughter's birthday is in 9 days. I reviewed with my daughter things for her birthday, like the theme, the cake, yada yada. Here's the issue though. When we were going through the guest list, she looked anxious. When I asked what's wrong, she told me that she didn't want to invite M. I asked her why, and she explained to me that M would make weird comments sometimes around other parents, and to her. For example, when M would pick her up from her dance lesson, she would hear M say things like, "That's why I prefer boys. Girls only like pink and tutu," calling her a brat, among other things. She also told me that every time her brother, M and XH's kid, would do something to annoy her, like breaking her toys, calling her names, starting a fight, M would always defend her son and punish her every time and just say that boys will be boys, or some crap like that. I asked about her dad, and she said that she does that when her dad is around, but he's always in his office, so it's like a free pass. Later on, I called her father. He asked for the date of the party, her real birthday is a school day, and I told him that his wife was not invited and that I think that I was in a loudspeaker because I heard M screaming at me that I am destroying her family. So am I the asshole for not inviting my ex-husband's wife to my daughter's birthday party because she told me not to? Okay, just for some more detail. My daughter's half-sibling is 4 years younger than her. She was born in April, while he was born in March, the next year after the divorce. He just turned 6. Man, they were quick on making that baby, weren't they? But it is true that we divorced because my ex-husband told me that he was in love with M and wanted to confess. We have 50-50 custody, he has a busy job. My daughter explained to me that she never told me/her dad that she was scared of ruining her father's marriage because he seems happy. In the comments, Forgotten Goldfishes says, "Not the asshole. Ideally, you want everyone to get along and have your daughter and her half-sibling have a relationship, but you can't have that if your husband's wife is being verbally abusive to your daughter. Dad needs to intervene and insist his wife behaves and get counseling to address her toxic jealousy of his daughter. Yeah, Dad needs to step in or he's going to risk ruining his relationship with his daughter. Sounds like it's already on that track anyway, but OP really needs to get him to understand this, if only for her daughter's benefit. If you do the math on the timing, Dad already risked ruining things by cheating. 3 to 4 year age gap between the kids, and the divorce happened when the daughter was 3, so the stepmom was already pregnant. Not the asshole. M should not be invited to be in your daughter's life at all. You should discuss this with your ex-husband immediately. If he's unaware of this, he must know. If he knows and doesn't support your daughter, then he should change or get out of her life as well. This bullying will seriously traumatize her. Dad definitely needs to fix this, or otherwise you need a serious reconsideration of the co-parenting agreements. Not the asshole, and thank you for defending your daughter's choice. Definitely not the asshole here. Standing up for your daughter's choices shows true support and understanding. It's important to defend what matters to our loved ones. Kudos to you for being a supportive parent. Yeah, that broad isn't stopping unless your ex stops her. So you're probably going to need an attorney eventually to sort this out in court because she can't be around someone who abuses her. I agree, get this broad away from that child. If she's saying repulsive shit like that, she needs a leash put on her. We need something to deal with that behavior. That mental abuse cannot be allowed to continue and fester in your daughter's life because she's already so anxious about this woman, and you've seen this woman and how she blows up at you. I feel like you have all the evidence that you need to do something about it. Let's just hope that your cheating and spineless ex can also get on your side and your daughter's side and do the right thing in this situation and clamp down on M, because I'm not getting any good vibes from M. Screw you, M. And now, on to the update. So, a lot happened. First of all, I met my ex for lunch alone. I explained everything that my daughter told me. And at first he was defensive and told me that she was overreacting. I replied that even if that were true, his relationship with his daughter is at risk. I gave him a choice: fix the problem or I go back to court for more custody. On Friday, when I came to pick my daughter up at his house, I talked to her in private, and she told me that her dad spent time with her, picking her up from school and activities, helping her with homework, and playing with her. M then told me that she accepts not going to the party, but still wanted to see my daughter blow out her candles on her actual birthday. She baked a cake and asked her, my daughter, if she was okay with doing it before leaving. She seemed okay with it, so we gathered around the cake, my daughter, M, ex, and half-brother. And when my daughter blew out the candles, M Jr. decided that the good thing to do would be to smash my daughter's face into the cake. To be honest, if this was not a kid, I would be in prison. Me too. He and M burst out laughing while my daughter was crying. M then told her that she was being dramatic and emotional. We, M, X, and I, got into an argument, and to my surprise, my ex-husband was on my side, saying that it was not okay. While arguing, I noticed that my daughter was not there, so I left to check on her. I helped her clean herself, and then we left for my house. I tried to cheer her up, but she was still a little sad. The party went well, all things considered. Her dad came, and during the party, I told him that I want more custody because of his wife's bullying. So yeah, I'll update you if anything happens. Edit. Some of you asked questions about my daughter's reaction. My daughter is really shy and a silent kid. Except for me and her dad, she does not talk unless spoken to, or if we bring up a subject that she likes. When something upsets her, she just stays silent and cries. It's always been like that, and it is what she did. Started crying and went to her room. In the comments, Dingling4 says, "Are you sure that the ex-husband's wife didn't egg on her kid, the half-sibling, to do this? Instead of apologizing profusely, she went on a verbal attack and said that your daughter was overreacting. To me, this seems that she wants to create a wedge in between your daughter and ex-husband's relationship, and it seems to be working. Yeah, the whole 'I want to see you blow out your candles' thing was a complete setup. If M was genuinely sorry, she wouldn't have even asked for that much from the child that she had bullied. The woman is defo a narcissist. I don't know how low she would stoop to get what she wants, to be honest. Not the asshole. Your ex-husband needs to put M in her place and stand up for his daughter. Her rude and frankly cruel behavior is now risking his relationship with his daughter. You're right to protect your daughter from this beast and her horrible half-brother." OP says, "To be honest, I don't entirely blame the kid. He probably picked up that attitude from his mum. Your ex-husband really needs to step it up. It's good that he was on your side about smashing the cake, but now he needs to extend it further. Your daughter is a valuable person, and she deserves respect. She's lucky to have a mum like you who demands the respect for her and sets boundaries." Oh, she definitely coached him. Your ex needs to not only get a handle on this marriage, but also watch out that his boy doesn't turn into a bigger shit than he already is. Really, that should be a bigger concern for her ex. Does he want a volatile little asshole for a child? Because that's what his girlfriend is training him to be right now. That's going to become a habit until it's almost impossible to break, even if the kid realizes he's being a jerk and wants to change. He needs to have a serious discussion with his girlfriend about getting her shit together, or maybe making her ex number 2. X's wife planted the idea in the kid's head. She wants the husband out of his daughter's life entirely. Try for full custody. Right? I'd have the ex ask his son if his mummy dearest asked him to do that. I see the vision. I see a future where we all live in harmony and people like M don't have to exist anymore. And in that sense, I mean, we get in there and we repair her moral compass and she becomes a good person that is, in my interpretation of good, in which she's more like OP here and isn't a complete piece of shit towards children that aren't her own and doesn't cause her own child to become just like her. Oh god, there's another update. And now onto the second update. Hi, I saw that many of you asked for an update. My daughter, after the cake incident, I asked her questions about whether M/half-brother had ever laid hands on her, played such pranks on her, or behaved inappropriately. We never know. She told me no, explaining that the fights with her half-brother are mainly him annoying her. I also inquired if anyone else from both sides had made her uncomfortable in any way, and again, she said no. Since my last post, she has been seeing her psychiatrist twice a week. The bullying apparently started about 2 months ago. I don't know if it's related, although I'm sure it is, but it was also around that time that M had a miscarriage. To be honest, I feel like a terrible mum. I did not see the signs, and I'm trying to fix everything. On to my ex-husband. Guess who showed up at my door at 10 p.m? He called me last night, was outside, and said that he wanted to talk. I let him in, and because I don't trust him, I really don't, I recorded the whole conversation with his consent, and he told me that since the party, he's been thinking about what to do, and yesterday told Em about my desire for more custody. From what he told me, she said that it was not such a bad idea because my daughter was not fitting into their family dynamic. They started to argue, and at one point, she started cursing me and my daughter. Apparently, I'm a sneaky B-word who is bitter about her affair with my ex-husband. Okay, pop off, MGs. Now tell me what you really think. She described my daughter as a spoiled, bratty princess who needs correction. And now, he has to choose between which woman he loves the most. This is where he had the click. He left the house, drove around, and then showed up at my place. He's going to stay at a friend's house to think about his relationship with Em. Our daughter will stay with me during the week and visit him on the weekends. I told him that if he's going to get back together with Em, I'm continuing with full custody. But if they divorce, it'll depend on his custody for his son because I don't want him around my daughter. And he agreed. That's it. Thank you all for the support. In the comments, Jay the Great One says, "You are not a bad mum. The second you found out about everything, you did what you needed to do to protect your child. To me, it always sounded like Em was jealous of you and your child and glad to hear that she's away from her. Keep protecting your baby mum." Yup, that's a good mum. I feel bad for how guilty she is, but no one is perfect. Her daughter is lucky to have a protective parent like that. You're right to keep her away from stepmom and Junior. They'll torture your child endlessly, and I'm glad that your ex is finally starting to see the truth before he lost his daughter completely. Absolutely. Protecting your child from toxicity is paramount. It is relief that your ex is beginning to understand the situation. Hopefully this awareness will lead to a healthier environment for your daughter. He should have known by the circumstances how this marriage started that he wasn't getting a quality person to begin with. Now he's stuck with her in his life, basically forever. You will know by his choice if he has anything of worth in him. A child should never be bullied, especially in their own home. If he chooses her over your daughter, then you definitely need full custody. You and your daughter deserve better. I mean, he's not a quality person either. He had an affair with her. I have a hard time feeling bad for him. Maybe being stuck with her is his karma. I feel bad for his daughter and his ex-wife because he took time away from his daughter to have an affair and he let his son and his affair partner wife bully his daughter right in front of him. It took her mum to get it to stop, or at least try to stop. He owes his daughter a massive apology. X and M were having an affair and she got pregnant. That is why you filed for divorce, right? I think M's problem with you is that she believes that your ex only stayed with her because she was pregnant and because you ended everything, so there is a risk that he will leave you for her if you give the ex another chance. That's why she mistreats your daughter, to push her away, and consequently, you. She is a vile person. You are right to keep your daughter away from her. Oh my god, final update. For not inviting my ex-husband's wife to my daughter's birthday party because she told me not to, ? Hi again. Y'all asked for an update, so here you go. On the topic of my ex-husband. Now earlier in the week, he asked if he could come by, saying that he had something important to tell me. He told me that last Friday, M Jr. got in trouble at school for cursing at a girl. Long story short, he confessed his feelings to a girl, the niece of the director, and she rejected him. Apparently, he started shouting insults at her that no 6-year-old should know, let alone say. Because of this incident and our daughter's situation, he has decided to divorce M. She would be served the divorce papers next week. He's also going to put M in therapy because he still wants her to have a relationship with their son. We, ex-husband, daughter, and I, will also be attending family therapy together. On the topic of my daughter, she is happier now. And that's the only thing that matters to me. For the summer, I'm going to take her to Japan to see my side of the family. Brooke, if one day you read this, Mama loves you more than anything. I'm sorry I didn't see everything earlier. I love you. Edit. 1. I am still going for full custody of my daughter with visitation on the weekend. If and only if M Jr.'s behavior improves, I will let him and my daughter interact. 2. He, my ex, is going for full custody of his son. And 3. I still don't trust my ex-husband. I'm keeping my eyes on him and how he'll raise my daughter. I don't know why people would assume that I'm going to be nice to him. Am I polite? Yes. But nice? Hell no. 4. I am not going for more custody because he wants his son. Because he recently got a promotion, so he works more. He doesn't have the time to take care of our daughter on the weekdays, so I take her. 5. Someone asked for our races for some reason. I'm Japanese, like my ex-husband, and M is white and French. 6. Like I said, I am Japanese but was raised in France, so French is my first language, then Japanese, and then English. Sorry for any mistakes. In the comments, BonM42 says, I'm glad your ex finally pulled his head out of his ass when it came to M. Sometimes a person has blinders, especially when they're busy with work. French lady is insane cray-cray. I'm glad your ex came to his senses about his soon-to-be ex-wife. She sounds awful and is raising her son to just be as narcissistic and as entitled as she is. I hope the therapy sessions work out and things get into a much happier place and routine for everyone. Personality disorders are learned behaviors. The poor kid is going to learn from his mum by example, and clearly she is a horrible person. Whatever you do, don't let that ex-husband try again with you. He can have a relationship outside of you. No matter what he does now, he did cheat on you. Yes, just because he learned his lesson from a trip to Crazy Town doesn't mean that he is trustworthy. I'm still not over the affair partner calling you a home wrecker after abusing the poor kid whose home that she wrecked. She's just a horrible person, and your ex sounds like an idiot. OP says, I didn't say he was smart. Just a question. When it was 50-50, why not your time it's a birthday party for your side, and on his time, he can do that? I know it's harder for Thanksgiving and Christmas, just the schedule can be worked out. And OP replies, we decided to host the party at my place, inviting both sides of my family. I live in a house, whereas he and M lived in an apartment. If she is with me at Thanksgiving, she would be with him at Christmas, and vice versa. My partner's mother lied, and my family took his side. 3 days ago, my partner, 32 male, his mother, and I, 25 female, we've been together for 8 years, on and off, were on our way to his sister's house for her daughter's birthday. Just the night before, my partner and I had an argument about kids. Nothing new lately. He wants one, and we've been trying for a few months now. Anyway, I said we need to see a doctor. He believes that we are both healthy and young, and if anything, we're doing something wrong. I was already exhausted from work and wanted to have some rest, so I didn't argue much, which only made him even more angry. I sat up and let him have his moment, and then slept. The next day, we went to pick up his mother. I tried to start a conversation, but he just kept nodding. Now, with his mum with us in the car, I tried my best to lighten the mood so she doesn't feel uncomfortable. 5 minutes or so into it, he said, "Can you shut your mouth for a minute? I don't want to hear your voice." His mother asked him what's wrong. All I said was, I know what's wrong with him. He stopped the car and yelled at me since I know what's wrong, then I for sure know what an immature biatch I am for starting a discussion with no intention to communicate. Mind you, he was the one who started it and refused to lower his voice and sit down so we could communicate like an adult. All this time, his mother in the back seat was just watching. Growing up in a house where everyone yells to prove their points, I hate raised voices. And him screaming at me for an argument we had yesterday on our way to a birthday party that we are supposed to enjoy made me lose it and snapped at him, "Can you stop effing screaming? Can't we talk about this when we're back home?" He grabbed my face and told me to never talk to him this way, especially in front of his mother. To this moment, she has said nothing. His grip on my jaw kept getting worse with every word. He's done this before, but never used this much force. So to take his hand off of me, I tried to grab his wrist and push, but I ended up scratching him a little. I swear to God I didn't mean to, I just couldn't bear the pain and wanted him to let go. His mother suddenly decided to use her voice and started yelling at me for hurting him and got out of the car and went to his side to check his wrist. I wanted to check his wrist too, but I was afraid of him losing it even more. He brushed it off and told his mum that it was nothing and started the car again, drove straight back home, and he went straight to the guest room. I decided to spend the next night at my parents' house to decide what to do. My mother and his are friends. Anyway, I didn't say anything, but they told me later that night that his mother visited in the morning and told them about the fight. The first thing she told them is that we had an argument, without mentioning how he started it and wouldn't stop with all the screaming, and how he grabbed my face, and only told them about me scratching him. Now my family is lecturing me about how I should respect him and consider starting counseling. By family, I mean my mother and little brother. My dad didn't say anything. I told them how it went and tried to show them the bruise on my jaw, but they wouldn't listen because his mother can't possibly lie to them, and the boy they watched growing up cannot be this bad. But the daughter they raised can lie and be this bad? For God's sake, they know how I don't tolerate raised voices, and I avoid heated arguments at any cost. But no one listens to me now, except for my big brother, who him and my soon-to-be ex are close friends. What hurt me is that, instead of at least comforting me, they're taking his side while they saw him raise his voice before and call his co-workers names. Is it because my little brother brought his girlfriend home and they gave her a room so she can be close to college, and scared that if I break up with him, I would come back home to stay with them and ruin everything? I have a stable job and can take care of myself. I want to go back to break up with him and pack my things, but I can't even look him in the eye right now for what he's made me go through. He called and texted, but like I said, I don't even want to hear his voice. He apologized for what he did in a few texts. I'm thinking about showing them to my family, but I feel sad that I need to do that so that they can support me emotionally. All my things are over there, and I've never done this before because he's my first everything. I'm mad that his mother lied for him while my family didn't even listen to me. I'm thinking screw them all, except my big brother. In the comments, DewConnection179 says, "Not the asshole, and you need to break up with this dude. It may be a little awkward for a little bit with your mum and his mum being friends, but in no way can you let this dude put his hands on you and scream in your face like that, especially in front of people. Please get out of this relationship before he escalates any further. Abusive. Plus, he was 24 and she was 17 when they got together. OP literally never got to be an adult without this creep. And apparently her parents were okay with this? Whatever you do, OP, prioritize safety. Don't go back unless you're with a trusted friend and/or ask the cops to be present while you get your stuff. All of that is far more important than your useless family. That your parents were okay with this asshole hitting on you when you were 17 and he was 24 tells me all we need to know about them. Unfortunately, they are not the people on whom you can rely. First things first, stay safe and do not go back to this creep. Take some time to be single as an adult. Learn who the hell you are. Stay out of relationships for a while. Listen to your own brain and make friends with yourself. He is actively pushing her to have a baby. She needs to get away before he's successful. Did he have other relationships, and how did he behave towards those girls? He's becoming more violent against you and having the confidence to do it in public. This is just not good at all. And he knows now that his mum will lie for him, and he will always have a gang at his back to berate OP and help him beat her down. This is headed in a very bad direction. Boyfriend's mum will get to raise her baby however she wants. Yeah, I don't like this at all. I feel like this is just another victim of domestic violence and potentially domestic homicide in the making. You know, you got all the little trappings of the family completely on his side because, oh, how could he do any wrong? He's an angel. Yeah, he's had a few arguments and been a kind of a dick to people, but surely that would never escalate to him hurting you or physically threatening you. No, I didn't see any of that in front of my eyes, you liar. My son didn't do that right in front of me. OP, you have a full-time job. That is very much a blessing in this situation. You're not pregnant, and you're not burnt by this guy any more than you need to be. I think at this point, you just restraining order, disappear from everyone's lives, and rest and refresh with some therapy. That is like the best way to go about this, is it not? Not to mansplain, but like please look after yourself. And now, onto the update. So the night that I shared that post, I didn't sleep a wink, but I had to go to work anyway. I didn't want to go back to my parents' house, but I had nowhere to go, which made things even more complicated. I was tired and all I wanted to do was sleep, but my younger brother wouldn't let me. He kept trying to talk about it and repeated the things that his mother told them. I literally felt like my eyes were going to shut on their own from exhaustion. Suddenly, I felt his hand under my chin, and when I looked up, his face was so close to mine, checking the bruise, and I pushed him. I know what I did is wrong, but at that moment, he wasn't my younger brother or anyone that I know. I don't know how to explain this part, but it was sudden, and I didn't realize what was happening, I guess. I just don't know why I did push him. Not too hard, but enough to make him back off a little. I think lack of sleep messed with my head, but still. When I realized what was happening, I apologized immediately, but he didn't take it well. My mother told him it's okay, she's just exhausted, and then said, "Why didn't you just show us the bruise yesterday?" I told her, "That's exactly what I tried to do, but you wouldn't listen." In her defense, it was covered with makeup and didn't look that bad. Okay. She said my partner and I need to sit down and sort things out, and that I should apologize for the scratch too. I did the moment that it happened. She also offered to call and ask him to come tomorrow so that we could talk and fix things. I was so tired that I didn't want to argue with her, so I just grabbed my things and got out. I'm writing this post from my hotel room. It's temporary. Yes, I have a stable job, but can't afford to stay here long. I need to be careful with my money since I'm going to need to find myself a place, buy furniture, and other things. I sent him a long descriptive text where I mentioned everything that happened that day. I even mentioned how it wasn't the first time, but this one left a bruise, including the scratch, and apologized for it again. Everything just like one of you advised me to do, and I got a response. So I guess it's something? My big brother made it clear to me that he doesn't care if they are close friends, family comes first, and that he will bring a friend with him to help me pack my things when I am ready. He also offered for me to stay with him as long as I need to, but I can't do that. He and his fiancée had a baby recently, and her mother's staying with them to help for a few months. I don't want to make things hard for them. The only friend that I have is on a business trip. She was supportive and said that I can stay with her when she comes back on Saturday, so I'm waiting for now. She's the only friend that I have that I can trust. I never felt the need to have more than one since him and I used to do pretty much everything together. I can't help but feel like I'm overreacting. I do want to leave and act on it, but then again, this thought keeps crossing my mind that he's not always like this. I know that I'm an idiot just sharing this with you because I can't be this honest with my brother, and definitely can't say this to my family either. My brother advised me not to answer his calls and texts until I leave, so I don't give him a chance to talk me out of this. My father called me this morning and apologized for not saying anything. He offered money, $1,500, but I don't think I should accept it. By the way, he loves my mother to death, and for him, whatever she says goes, since forever. So to be honest, I'm not disappointed that he didn't stand up for me that day. At least he didn't try to shut me up. For now, I'm getting any paperwork I might need. Thanks to my big brother, and for the commenters, I now know better. I feel I should clarify something. Yes, we dated for 8 years, but we didn't become exclusive until I was 18. He actually waited. It was my older brother's idea, though. His only condition was that nothing would happen between us until I turned 18. You know what I mean by nothing. I think that because they were close friends, and knowing that my brother was against it all at first, made him keep his promise. That's all. I'll try and give a final update when I sort everything out. Thank you again. In the comments, EmuJune9390 says, I feel like I should clarify something. Yes, we dated for 8 years, but we didn't become exclusive until I was 18. He actually waited. He didn't wait. He groomed you. This is all so disturbing. Your family is so wrong. Please move in with your friend and cut your family off completely. They are encouraging you to stay with someone who laid hands on you, and now that he knows that he will get support from your family when he abuses you, it will only get worse. Your family is gross and abusive as well. Get away from all of these people as fast as you can. There is a better life out there for you. There are better people out there. How many times do you have to apologize for an accidental defensive scratch? Any man grabs my face, I would scratch his eyes out. Once someone lays hands on you, you are allowed to defend yourself. No apologies. There is a better life out there for you if you can muster just enough courage to get away and cut contact now. OP says, I do realize this now. I'm working on everything you mentioned. I just hope that everything works out well. Thank you. By I just hope everything works out well, I'm guessing you mean leaving him, right? 'Cause you know this won't be the last time it'll happen if you continue this relationship. Ditch his ass and do it with someone around you as well. Don't be alone with him no matter what happens. Even if he says he would like to speak with you alone, do not accept unless someone is with you and only if it is in public. Good luck, stay safe. Yeah, what is this next level victim abuse mentality coming from her own family saying, you obviously scratched him in bad faith, you just lashed out of nowhere? Because, women just attacking men in relationships like that is very common and definitely not an unusual thing. Let's just ignore all his past behaviors that were red flags, and that OP never really showed red flag violent behavior or, derogatory behavior at all like that. It just makes complete sense that she started an argument with him out of nowhere and just scratched the shit out of him. Ignore the bruises on her either. She did that before. Totally makes sense, OP's family, you pieces of shit. I don't understand how they're still kind of defending him in this one. Like, what's going on? Let's sit you down with your abusive boyfriend. I'm sure that's really going to fix everything and he's going to see the error of his way. And it won't continue in the future. With the way that OP's family is currently acting and everyone else around OP, besides the brother, they're all going on the list of people whose graves I'm going to piss on in the future. And now, onto our latest updates. Hi, I don't know where to start. To be honest, I completely forgot about updating until I got a notification a few days ago from someone asking if I got away. Thank you. A few days after my last update, my brother and a friend of his went with me to pack my belongings. Thank God they did, because we found his mother there too. My ex kept asking to talk with me in private, but both my brother and his friend told him to stay whatever he wanted with them in the room. He apologized and asked me to give him another chance, with his mother telling him to man up and stop begging the whole time. I called my friend to thank her again and let her know that I would be staying with my brother for the time being. I stayed with him for 2 weeks. Honestly, I didn't expect his mother-in-law to be that kind. Both she and her daughter, my brother's fiancée, were good to me. I tried to help with a baby, which helped me keep my mind off things a little and not feel like I was in the way. I mentioned in my original post that my ex and I were trying for a baby. I also mentioned in my first update how I felt tired all the time. I thought it was because I was going through a tough time, but I didn't know that I was pregnant until I miscarried. With everything going on, I didn't pay attention to my period. I started having period-like cramps the night before. I continued to have cramps the next day, which turned into bleeding, and it was like having a bad period, but the bleeding continued to worsen over the course of the day. I probably wouldn't have even thought that I was pregnant if my sister-in-law hadn't told me that I might be miscarrying. I was 6 weeks along. Other than the miscarriage, which I'm still a little shaken by, everything has been good with me. I found myself a place 30 minutes from work. I'm adjusting, and the last time he showed up at my work was a week ago or so. 2 of my coworkers told him to never show up again since he has no reason to be there, and he never has since. I'm no contact with my mother and younger brother. She tries to reach me through my older brother, but he told me that it's better if I stay no contact for at least a few months. When I posted, I was more focused on his mother lying to my family, but the real issue was him doing that in front of her. If she hadn't visited and lied, I probably wouldn't have told my family and never posted here. So I would have never known that that's not how things work, and that's not how my partner should treat me. I sometimes think about my ex. I know I seem weak, but I've known him for so long, and he was my first everything. But now I don't have to worry about a lot of things. I wake up relaxed and don't have to worry about messing something up. By the way, my first therapy session is this Tuesday. That's all. Thank you. In the comments, the filthiest fingers says, "Not the asshole at all. It's completely understandable that you're feeling shaken by everything that you've been through, including the miscarriage. Sorry to hear about that, by the way. It's important to prioritize your own well-being and take the time that you need to heal. It's great that you're taking steps like going to therapy to take care of yourself. Remember, you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness in any relationship. Keep focusing on yourself and your own happiness, and things will get better with time. You're doing great, and I'm rooting for you. I'm sorry about your miscarriage, but so happy with the rest of your updates. You've got a lot to be thankful for. Your freedom, your own place, and an 8-year mistake in the rearview mirror. You have a support system in your brother and sister-in-law and co-workers that have your back. I think your brother's right. Stay no contact with your mother for a few or many months, or as long as she's still friends with ex's mummy dearest. Younger brother too. You don't mention your dad. Is he supportive since he sides with your mum? Be happy, but stay aware of your surroundings for a while. Your ex spent a long time grooming you into someone that he had control over. He may not be happy that you walked away from him. Give yourself some time to heal and recover emotionally, and then be ready to get out socially with friends. I'm not saying to jump into a new romance. Take your time. You'll know when you're ready for that. You were so young when you got involved with your ex that your instincts may need some time to catch up to the new you. Pay attention to them. He hurt her because he felt like he had a right to punish her for embarrassing him in front of his mother. I'm so glad that she got out. Behavior like this always escalates. They feel more and more comfortable punishing you as if you were a child, and your behavior is something that is their responsibility to correct. It's effing disgusting. Jesus Christ. This whole entire family deserves to rot and burn away. Minus the older brother and his in-laws. Squeezing her chin so hard that it bruises is way too close to choking for my comfort. I'm glad that OP got out. Her mother and younger brother are scum. I know it's traumatizing to have a miscarriage, but I can't help feel like that was the universe freeing her from that horrid man. Imagine if she had to spend 18 years co-parenting with a man who put his hands on her when he's mad. I'm glad her older brother has her back. I am so glad she isn't going through it all alone. And I'm glad too, OP. I'm so glad that you got out of there and did right by yourself. Because, as I said before, it was going the way of you being another statistic, and really you have to take the most dramatic and drastic action to save yourself in instances like this. You saying that he is also off your back when he showed up at your work a week ago is so concerning though. He is not off your back. This man is still stalking and obsessed with you. A week is not that long a time frame to be like, okay, he's done with me forever for real. Honestly, get a restraining order and document this shit as much as you can before, he takes more dramatic action because he feels like he still has ownership over you. That man is dangerous. Our next post is by user EnoughRepeat654, titled, "Am I the asshole for not inviting my mum to my birthday party? My mum got pregnant with me by accident when they were in school, and this caused a lot of problems for both my parents because they had to continue school while taking care of me. And shortly after I was born, my mum just moved all of a sudden, and my dad had to look after me all alone. Around last year, my mum, 31 female, suddenly reached out to me, 14 female, and my dad, 31 male, asked if she could meet me. So I started seeing my mum every month and met my grandparents, and they were all very nice to me. My dad kind of hates my mum. Like he doesn't say it, but it's obvious when he never wants to be near her and is reluctant every time I go to meet my mum. And I learnt that it's because my mum was a drunk when they were younger and was a really bad person. But I think she's changed now. In a while, I will turn 15 and I'm going to have a small party to celebrate, and I'm only having my granny, my dad's mum, and my best friends over. My mum found out that it was my birthday soon and called to ask my dad what we'll be doing, and he told her that she didn't need to come. And my mum was mad, and her parents called me and my dad to try to convince us. So my dad asked me if I wanted her there, and I honestly don't think that we're close, so I said no. Now my mum is really hurt, and she doesn't want to meet me anymore because she says that she needs time away from us. When I called her, her parents picked up, and they told me to leave her alone. I feel bad because I think she's really hurt, and I don't know if I should have sucked it up and just let her go to my party. My dad said, good riddance, but I'm afraid that I'm actually in the wrong, but I don't know it. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Jeepers Creepers 74 says, not the asshole. You were the child, your mum is the adult. As the kid in this situation, it is not your job to make your mum feel good about herself or where she stands with you. It is your mum's duty to repair this relationship, to look out for your feelings, and to give you space when needed. If she's not willing to assume these responsibilities, she's not ready to be back in your life. That's on her, not you, and you should not feel guilty about it. As for your grandparents, they are fostering this bad behavior on your mum's part by treating the two of you like school friends who should be forced to invite each other to parties so nobody's feelings get hurt, rather than parent and child. They are unwilling to hold her accountable for the harm that she's caused, and therefore, their opinion is meaningless as well. Despite these unfortunate circumstances, it sounds like you have a lot of people who love you in your life. Happy birthday and enjoy your party. Exactly this. And for the grandparents, where were they while their daughter just dropped everything and abandoned her baby and disappeared? I wouldn't worry about anything that they say or feel. They obviously wanted nothing to do with her either, unless her mother was involved. I don't think I would be able to let myself get close to them or let my guard down where we would only ever have an acquaintance relationship so that they wouldn't have the power to hurt me when they all abandoned me again. Everything about the birther's sulking silent treatment and the grandparents coddling her tantrum just gave me the ick. Children get to pull this crap. Someone who wants back into their child's life after 14 years takes what they can get and bends over backwards to fix even the tiniest bit of pain and havoc that they caused to stay in their child's life. Not the asshole. She may be your mum, but she hasn't seen you for over a decade. You're still slowly getting to know her. Things may eventually gel with you two, or they may not. At this point, she's still a near stranger. It's totally reasonable to limit your birthday attendance to those that you're close to. Your mum does not yet, if ever, fit that definition. Your mum seems to feel that you should recognize her as your mum, as if the decade-plus absence never happened. That's unwarranted, and if she's disappointed about it, it's her own unrealistic expectations at fault. She'll get past it if she really wants to continue building a relationship with you. Not feeling close to essentially a stranger at this point is not an asshole move. Not the asshole. Yeah, she abandoned you for 14 years, OP. Where is the audacity of her and this family coming from? Like, genuinely, who the hell do they think they are to be pulling this shit? Oh, you know what? My daughter's gonna give you the silent treatment now. You know what? We totally are cool with the fact that she abandoned you for 14 years. And you should feel like an asshole because you don't want this strange woman at your birthday party. You're such a piece of shit, OP. You 14-year-old. You should know better than that. You should allow someone that abandoned you to be at your party and be in significant life events and be welcomed back in with open arms. She doesn't need to apologize for shit. She's perfect, okay? Our perfect daughter who runs away from her children. Are they hearing themselves? What is going on? They are pieces of shit, all of them. Not the asshole, OP. And now onto the second post, titled, Am I the asshole for refusing to meet my mum after my grandparents said me and my dad weren't a real family? So my parents had me really young, like 16, and my mum moved away after I was born, so my dad took care of me alone while still in school. I, 14 female, started meeting my mum, 31 female, last year when she came back all of a sudden, and we meet every month. My dad doesn't like my mum and wouldn't talk to her if he could. Recently, my mum and I got into a fight because I didn't want to invite her to my birthday party because we aren't close. So to smooth things over, my grandparents proposed that we all have a family dinner together to celebrate separately. So my dad and I had dinner with them yesterday, and it was a disaster. At first it was fine, but my dad was really uncomfortable, and it was just awkward all around. Then my grandparents started talking about my mum's involvement in my life. Like, maybe you and your mum can go somewhere together. That kind of thing. My mum suggested that she could send me to school in the mornings, which my dad does, and I could tell that my dad was getting annoyed, and he said it's fine, and that she didn't need to do that. Then my grandparents started to get angry and asked why he was so against them, while my mum just looked embarrassed and didn't say anything. And then my grandma said she needs her mother to have a real family. Just her dad is not enough. My dad got so mad that he told me to pack up and that we were going. And when we got home, my dad just locked himself in his room, and I could hear him crying. At that point, I was just angry, so I called my mum and told her that I didn't want to see her ever again. She started crying and tried to apologize, but I hung up on her. She sent me voicemails saying that I shouldn't punish her for what her parents said, and that I need to stop overreacting. I don't know if I am being too extreme and overreacting. My dad says I can decide, but he looks conflicted, and my mum crying made me feel kinda bad. So am I the asshole? I don't know if it's justified to stop seeing my mum, even though she didn't say that stuff. It was just her parents. In the comments, quote, then my grandma said she needs her mother to have a real family, just her dad is not enough. That's rich, considering that it was your real mum that abandoned you. Tell grandma that dad has been plenty family, as he's the only one who's actually raised and cared for you for 14 years. Not the asshole. Grandma can just go away. I would suggest leaving the door open for your mum, so long as she understands that Grandma et al. Are now on your no-contact list, and that's non-negotiable. Don't tell Grandma anything. It's probably best for everyone if you don't speak to them again for a very long time, and give seeing your mum a break for a while too. Wait until you see if you find yourself wanting to see her just to see her, and not from a feeling of being obligated to see her. Not the asshole. Saying don't punish me for what my parents said is one thing. Saying that you're overreacting to what your grandparents said is crossing the line. I'd say not the asshole, and when you've cooled off, you may change your mind about seeing your mom. But in my opinion, your mom and grandparents are pushing way too hard, way too soon. It's probably the making up for lost time mindset, but you're 14 now, not the infant that she abandoned. You can develop a relationship, but it should be on your terms. One non-negotiable should be don't ever criticize my dad or say that he and I are not a real family. Not the asshole. For 13-ish years, where has your mum been? Not with you. Who held you when you cried? Who was there for you to celebrate your achievements? Who took care of you when you were sick? Not your bio mum. Your dad has been there for you. Your bio mum showing up and sowing seeds of discontent is disrespectful. Your grandparents, aka your bio mum's parents, are happy to throw your dad away now that their child has decided to be a parent. Your bio mum had the opportunity to tell her parents to back down when they said that your dad isn't enough, but she stayed quiet. How very mature and classy of her. Sarcasm. Now, go hug your dad, tell him that you love him, and let him know that you know he's enough, and then some. Slow down on meeting your bio mum for the time being, and has she ever told you why she abandoned you? OP says, I'm not sure why my mum moved, but my grandparents were unhappy that she got pregnant, so I've just always assumed that it was to get away. Though I don't know if my mum made the decision, so I don't know if she decided to leave, or she just followed her parents. And now, onto the latest updates. After I cooled down from that day, I thought it over and I read all your comments. So I decided to keep talking to my mum and maybe not my grandparents anymore. Then I talked to my dad about it, and he told me that when my mum and my dad were dating, her parents disapproved of him because he was poorer and his mum was a single mum. My mum's family is kind of classist and didn't like him, so during that time they treated him badly. So that's why he doesn't like my mum's parents, and he still hates my mum for never making contact. He called my mum and told her that she could continue to see me once a month, but I wouldn't meet her parents at all, and she wouldn't take me to school. My mum said okay, and now everything has blown over. She apologized to my dad and me, and now he's trying to tolerate her more. I'm trying to be less mad at my mum because I think she is trying harder, and I'm trying to show my dad that I appreciate him more for all that he has done for me. Thank you all for your advice on what to do. Some of you seemed curious to know what would happen, so here you go. Sorry if I'm updating wrong, I'm not really clear on the format. In the comments, Spin Pin says, "You seem incredibly mature for your age. It seems your dad has been raising you right. Good for you for showing him the appreciation he deserves and for icing out the grandparents. They sound toxic and won't contribute any good to your life at all. Your mum seems highly influenced by them, but doesn't seem to have the same mindset. I hope things work out with her, but I would be cautious. Good luck to you and your real family." OP says, "Thank you. My dad is a great parent." In response to a longer comment with questions, OP says, "My mum said that she needed to make up for the bad decisions that she made in the past. I guess she's trying to be a better person now. My dad had girlfriends in the past, but he broke up with them because he said he didn't have time. Thank you for the birthday wish." Imagine not being involved in a child's life for 14 years and completely stumped as to why their parent has reservations about you. Right? It's not like her mum came back when she was 17. She flaked off until she was 31. She got a whole young adult life with no extra responsibilities, while OP's dad raised a kid at 16. And where were the maternal grandparents? Certainly not physically present, since OP only met them. Did they even send child support? These old assholes basically have a lot of nerve and demands for people who had nothing to do with OP up until recently. I'm flabbergasted at the idea that OP's mother, the one who gave birth, found out about her birth date. I'm not a mother, will never be a mother, but even I can't fathom the idea of getting pregnant, giving birth, and then finding out about when the birth occurred. Is there something else that OP maybe doesn't know about, or simply didn't share? Which is her right, of course. Bit of a weird date, but at the same time, maybe OP's mom just vibed out so hard that she completely forgot about OP's birthday. I guess we'll never know the answer. The only questions really that I need answers for here are, was child support being paid and how much? Because if they're being classist assholes and they're not paying child support, really goes to show their character. No, you're below me and we have money and we're better than you, but we're also not going to support our grandchild because we're better than that. That's the energy that I'm getting from them, but that's an assumption. Otherwise, I'm glad that boundaries are being set, and hopefully you in no contact with those good-for-nothing grandparents, OP. All the best for the future. Would I be the arsehole if I were to dump my boyfriend for being a snobby movie critic? My boyfriend hosts his own podcast dedicated to movies, and he even has his own studio that he's renting out so that he can record there. He has some co-hosts, legit recording equipment, and he has a decent following. I always go to the studio to just sit on the side and watch as he records, but I've noticed that he's started to become a bit different ever since the start of the podcast. On a podcast a few weeks ago, the topic was 2016 movies, as my boyfriend and his co-hosts revisited some of their favorite and least favorite films of 2016. One co-host brought up Arrival as their favorite film of 2016, and while he was talking, my boyfriend loudly says, "Yawn," and he explains that he thought Arrival was boring. My boyfriend then goes into this giant rant about how he hated Arrival, calling it one of the most overrated movies of all time. He says that he looks down on people who like the movie because he claims that they think that they're smart, and he says that he's proud of himself for seeing past that movie and its faux attempts at intelligence. And whenever someone would try to change the subject, he'd just interrupt them and go right back to talking about how much he hates Arrival. Then, just a few days ago, he was recording another show, and the topic was MCU movies. My boyfriend brought up that he thinks that Age of Ultron is a hidden gem and massively overlooked masterpiece. One of his co-hosts scoffed when he said those things, and that set off my boyfriend. He started attacking the co-host for his taste in movies and started saying stuff like, "Just because I have a better understanding of the art of filmmaking, it doesn't mean that you have to be jealous of me." That was actually enough for the co-host to just walk out in the middle of the show, and my boyfriend said, "That's fine, I only want to talk to true auditors of film on this show." And just yesterday, I asked if we could see Shazam together, but he simply responded with, "I deserve better than those DC movies." I confronted him and told him that he needs to stop acting like he's smarter than everyone over his taste in film, and he said, "Truth hurts, doesn't it?" And it's like this a lot. Whenever I'm watching a movie he doesn't like, he'll just scoff and say, "Typical." I'm thinking of breaking up with him, but I also feel weird about dumping him over him having differing views on film. What do you think? In the comments, Veneros8693 says, "Not the arsehole. I don't think you're breaking up with him over your differing views on film, but rather his shitty attitude. Definitely. He sounds like your typical douchey snob. Enjoying movies is one thing, but jumping at the gun to be a douchebag, just for the fun of it, indicates what this individual truly is like. Also, you're allowed to break up with anyone for no reason, and it doesn't make you an asshole. I get that this is a popular narrative on this sub, but in my opinion, it's just not true. You have the right to do it, sure, but you don't get a free pass to not the asshole in all instances. A few months ago, there was a question, am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend after learning he was assaulted, and I now feel he is less of a man? This person is a massive asshole, quite obviously so. At first I was like, maybe it's the horrible belief that makes them an asshole, not the breaking up, but on second thought, I don't think you can separate the two. There are definitely cases like this then, when you can be a bad person for breaking up with someone, although I would still rather someone with that horrible belief got themselves away from their partner, rather than, God forbid, saying that you're less of a man to them, unless of course they could genuinely come to rethink everything they thought about gender, masculinity, assault, etc. But I think as a rule, it's important to say that breaking up doesn't need a good reason. In part because, in a lot of unhealthy relationships, one partner will try to guilt the other person into staying past when they want to, and that's pretty awful itself. Even when there is no manipulation like that, a lot of people stay in miserable relationships because they don't want to be mean by breaking up. But breaking up in itself isn't morally wrong, and I think saying that is important, even though there are cases when someone is being utterly horrible about it, as you pointed out. Actual Disaster Bee says, not the asshole. Your boyfriend sounds like a true douche canoe who has the faux "I'm smarter than you and a deeper intellectual than you" bullshit about him. I don't know you, but I can safely say that you're better off without people like that in your life. Stop derailing this thread. I'm only here to talk about Rampart. Not the asshole. This sentence right here sums it up. Quote, I confronted him and told him that he needs to stop acting like he's smarter than everyone over his taste in film, and he said, truth hurts, doesn't it? He looks down on you and everyone else. He pissed off his own co-host to the point the co-host left. You're not breaking up with him because he's a movie snob, you're breaking up with him because he's pretentious and doesn't know how to communicate with people who have a differing opinion. Truth hurts, doesn't it? It's gonna be so good when someone uses that line after he realizes he has pushed everyone away. Yeah, I don't think you're an asshole for dumping your boyfriend after this. I think that he can't take criticism and differing opinions at all. That really is the crux of the matter here, isn't it? Being a movie snob is one thing, but then letting that take over your entire personality, and then, other people being okay with you being like, no, I don't agree with you, and still being able to have a civil conversation with you, but anytime he faces any backlash in anything, he shuts down and starts throwing chairs and tables and threatening your life. Throwing personal attacks and insults at you like, what the hell, man? What's wrong with you? Good for you for looking out for yourself and your own mental health by just getting rid of this guy. So please do it. And now, on to the updates. Last night was another podcast between my boyfriend and his remaining co-host. Before every actual recording of a show, they always get together in another room to briefly go over what they're going to discuss on the show, and the topic this time was Star Wars. They were going to talk about the new trailer for Episode 9, as well as rank their favorite and least favorite Star Wars films. During the pre-show meeting, I was thinking about how I was most likely going to break up with him after the show had been recorded, but another opportunity presented itself. During the meeting, my boyfriend and the co-host were talking about the Star Wars movies, and my boyfriend brought up that his favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith, and his least favorite is A New Hope. He said that Revenge of the Sith is the most epic and action-packed, whereas the original movie is too dated. His co-host disagreed, and they started talking about their opinions, which led to them talking about The Last Jedi. But then my boyfriend turns that conversation into one about another highly divisive 2017 movie, Mother, starring Jennifer Lawrence. My boyfriend hailed it as one of the top 5 films of all time, and the most artistic film that he has ever seen. His co-host wanted to get back on track to Star Wars, but my boyfriend kept wanting to talk about Mother. The co-host responded with, "Mother is an edgy high schooler's version of artistic." And that was enough for my boyfriend to go red in the face and say, "Well, at least I try to have actual taste, unlike you." The co-host simply said, "I'm done," and got up and walked out of the room. My boyfriend just stood there, and then he turned on me. He said to me, "What the F are you looking at?" I just stood up and told him that we're done as a couple. I explained that I can't stand his shitty way of talking to people and constantly acting like he's so much better than everyone. He starts telling me that he needs me and he was planning on asking me to join the podcast, but I just told him no and walked out of the room. While I was leaving the building and getting an Uber, my boyfriend sticks his head out of the front door and screams, "Effing CUNT!" I just ignored him, went home, and now here I am. Update. I just wanted to let you guys know that I will no longer be giving out the link to the podcast in any more PMs. I've done that in a couple of PMs already, and my ex just texted me, telling me that the comments section in his podcast is being bombarded with trolls and harassment comments, one of which was a death threat that he is now reporting. In the comments, Ezio Altair 12 says, "Looks like he went down a path you just couldn't follow. But man, driving away your co-host and significant other in the space of 5 minutes really reinforces that you did the right thing, OP. You brought him here to kill me. You have turned her against me. You have done that to yourself." Not the asshole. Your ex was a giant asshole. You made the right call getting away from him. I hope he enjoys his new forever alone status. He really does have a terrible attitude, especially for a podcast where he discusses differing opinions and views. He sounds exhausting and way too sensitive. Good on you for leaving him, OP. Yeah, the edgy discussion would be fine if he could keep the emotion and personal attacks out of it. There would be nothing wrong with a podcast where one host says, "I found this movie to be juvenile and pretentious," while the other says, "I disagree. It broke new philosophical ground and was an entertaining romp." That would be more entertaining than everyone agreeing. Even some ribbing or arguments could be okay if it was all a part of the show, not deeply held personal beliefs about what's objectively better. It seems insane to me that he couldn't keep it civil. Who would want to listen to a podcast with 2 hosts where one expounds his opinion and the other just says, "You're right, I agree"? Boyfriend doesn't even sound like he likes movies. He just likes using movies to try and look superior to others, unsuccessfully at that, since he doesn't know how to disagree without coming across like a loudmouthed jerk. Movies, and art in general, should be about conversation and community, not one-upmanship. There is this weird, awful thing where people associate their opinions, which are subjective, with their self-worth, ego, self-esteem. So someone disagreeing with their opinion makes them go feral, and they go into attack mode, going directly to ad hominem attacks because they aren't cogent and coherent enough to defend their opinions with arguments and evidence. Which, defending your opinions with arguments and evidence, is essentially what a critic does? You know what, all's well that ends well in this one. He really let the mask slip real quick there, didn't he? I'm wondering how everyone put up with him for so long, and it took this straw to break the camel's back. Although, to be honest, this was more like a cement block going straight for the camel's back, and I feel sorry for the camel. Good on you for seeing the opportunity and absolutely running for the hills, OP. Best of luck with whatever future endeavors you get up to, because having that little parasite out of your system is so much better than living with it, that's for sure. Our next post is by a deleted user, titled, "How would you feel if your boyfriend, male 38, of 9 months, purchases a home and says it's for you, female 34? My boyfriend of 9 months purchased a home and said that he bought it with me in mind, as we've talked about a future and wanting to have a family. We have had many serious talks about our relationship, and we've both met each other's families. He previously lived in a home for several years and has always thought about changing his living situation, and also wasn't sure if he even wanted to stay to live in the same city. To my surprise, he went to see a house without me knowing and put in an offer. Long story short, his offer was accepted, and he's made comments about how he thought about this house for us eventually. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I'm really happy that he got a house that he really likes, and at the price he got it for, but I feel that we're not there yet to move in with each other. Also, in no way did I have a say in the decision of this house or the location, so I don't think him saying that he got the house with me in mind is fair. He hasn't considered the commute for me to travel to work, or anything that would be considered specifically to actually having me in mind. He bought this home 1 block away from his previous house, as he will be renting out that home now. So this home by default is a great location for him overall. I'm not sure how to feel about his comments and his expectations with me and the house. Additionally, I am a student, and the closing of his house happened to be the very busiest week of exams and assignments that I had due. We had conversations about how I couldn't help him move, and there seemed to be an understanding. That week consisted of working on a presentation, studying for an exam, and working on a paper. Any other free time I had, I invested in self-care, such as working out or doing yoga. However, on one of those days, I posted a selfie where I was proud to have accomplished so much in the morning before going into work, and he got extremely upset about this. He went on to say that I didn't care to help him move, and that I didn't want to help him move, essentially, and made a huge deal about it, as he bought this house with me in mind. What do you think of this? Edit, to give more context. The house was bought entirely with his money. I have zero financial contribution to this. We never talked about a specific time frame when I would move in. It was a discussion about how it's something we both would want eventually. We did talk about how I would contribute when that time comes, in which I mentioned expenses such as hydro, utilities, internet, etc. I also made it clear that in no way I was expecting a free ride and not to contribute anything. That's just not my character. The selfie that was posted was a close-up shot of my face with sunglasses on and enjoying my coffee. I had a list of accomplishments of tasks I did that day and wrote it in this picture. Meal prep, check. Workout, check. Coffee, check. Sunshine, check. Great way of starting my day so far. In the comments, Bizit4 says, "There are multiple red flags going on here. 1. If he truly envisioned you two living together in this house down the line, he would have included you in the conversation or invited you to the house showings. I think what he really envisioned is having a partner. Not specifically you, but a partner. 2. The fact that he became upset when you posted about your productive morning is very worrisome. You were being smart to prioritize your education and self-care/mental health. It takes roughly 30 minutes to 1 hour to work out. Did he really expect you to take that limited time to drive over, pack 2 to 4 boxes, and then leave? That's ridiculous. 3. The fact that he tried to guilt trip you when he was upset by throwing in how he envisioned the house with you in it is quite manipulative and downright juvenile. If these are the only red flags you've seen in this relationship, I would suggest counseling. If he's serious about building a future with you, then he should 100% be open to this. If he tries to dissuade you from talking to a professional, then you know he doesn't care about self-growth and, in turn, growing with you. Nah, my ex used to do this shit all the time. I'm kind of wondering if this is him. Everything he did was somehow for me, but when we split, I was left with literally nothing. No clothes, no animals, no home that he said was mine, no Airstream that we both bought. All of his words are ploys and facades and distractions. Get the hell out now. I promise that you won't regret it. This is love bombing, negging, future faking, and controlling all in one quick post. Girl, be worried and get the hell out." Monica Schmonica says, "I would feel pressure to make the relationship work even if I didn't feel it, Manipulated to accept the situation before I'm ready to commit. Peeved. How does he even know that I'd like the place or the neighborhood? Concerned. What if my job opportunities aren't even in this town? What if my job's a long commute and I don't want a long commute? Angry. Who the hell does he think he is, buying me a prison? And alarmed. I don't like living my life according to someone else's unilateral decisions. What I would not feel is obligated to move in or to continue this relationship. Sorry, but I just laughed so hard at who the hell does he think he is, buying me a prison? As a woman in a committed 4-year relationship, yes, and hilarious. Buying before marriage means in a divorce, it is his premarital asset, unless he puts her on the title. I'm not a lawyer, but economics may be his motive. Yeah, it's not looking good so far with this one. This situation certainly does have all the trappings of love bombing, negging, future faking, and controlling. I do hope that OP is a reliable narrator in this sense, because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they have not done anything and they are not putting themselves in the best light possible. Though unfortunately, I've never had the unique experience of having someone say, I'm dating you and I'm buying a house with you in mind. How many people just have the money to buy a house in their own like that? This is a very niche experience, if I do say so myself. But if you're looking for an asshole judgment, OP, so far I'd say that you're not really the asshole, though I'm very confused about how this situation got to be where it is right now. And now, on to the update. We broke up. We basically got into a fight, and I blew up with resentment about many things. It wasn't right, but I just feel like I couldn't talk to him as I kept getting interrupted mid-sentence, denied everything I was saying, and accused of being something I'm not. I also realized that when we talked about the reality of me moving in with him, I mentioned that I could sell all my furniture, but would want and need to keep my desktop computer/desk. His response to me was that he wouldn't let me have my own room for that and to get a laptop instead. The man has an entire room dedicated to his sneakers. When I also mentioned the commute and how I'd have to pay for parking, as I take the subway to work currently, not a big deal in comparison to paying the mortgage, but still an expense, he said there could be days he could drive me, but then followed up with, "But you don't ever drive me to work." He did not buy the house with me in mind at all. It's clear that this is his house, and he wasn't going to share his space in any other way besides how he wanted it. We had plans for me to come over on a specific day, but had also fought. I admitted and apologized that I could have put my anger aside and came to help. However, I wanted reassurance that he understood that I have my own priorities, and we discussed this. He cannot throw it in my face and tell me that I did not meet his needs. I'm not saying, of course, that in any case I would not drop something for my partner in an emergency. I did not feel that he understood this. And when I tried to explain this, he said that I was retracting my apology. I just kept feeling constantly misunderstood and having to defend myself in this relationship with other issues as well. That was the end of that. Better to cut it off sooner than later, and before taking the relationship to the next level of commitment. It definitely sucks. And I showed him this thread, in which of course he was upset, and he says he felt betrayed. He called me entitled, as he thinks I'm saying that he bought it for me, which I am not in any way. He's missing the point for this post, in which I think he doesn't want to take accountability for not acknowledging that he was wrong for throwing it in my face. The main point was guilt-tripping and using the "I brought it with you in mind" response. Because clearly, even if the commute was not in mind, currently I live in an expensive area, so to not buy a house here is a valid point. The ability to actually live with him was not with me in mind. He really absolutely did not care about me as a person and my needs, or even can understand what a real relationship is. He skimmed through all 565 comments and screenshotted the best ones that validated him and sent them to me to prove that he is a good guy. In the comments, Woman Thorned says, "He's a joke. Honestly, this is not a serious person. Room for his sneakers, but she gotta buy a laptop and work on the couch? What a clown." Look, I get that sneaker collecting is a serious, albeit weird, hobby for some people, But having an entire hobby room while another occupant of the house, significant other, partner, family, roommate, doesn't matter who, does not have a dedicated workspace when they do a lot of work from home is so utterly thoughtless. Could be a sneaker room, gaming room, sports room, man cave, whatever. Priority for rooms should be bedroom/living space, then workspace, and then hobbies. Most sneaker rooms have the sneakers either displayed on the wall, like the shoes are on a shelf, or the containers are against the walls, so the middle part is often empty. So people will put couches and TVs. People don't just have a room filled with shoes, unless he's a hoarder. So he could have easily given her the room for her to put a desk and table. He just didn't want to share any rooms with her. I'm sure he had you in mind when buying the house. You not having a job, you not having your own money, you doing all the housework, you not having your own transportation, you being completely isolated and under his control. Well done on getting out. Just know that your comment hit me like a Mack truck. Damn, I'm an effing idiot. Yup, I just thought he was selfish and self-centered, but yeah, you can see the controlling aspect much clearer now. Did you let someone get you in that position? You can work your way back out of it. Just undo those things like a checklist. Job, car, friends, etc. And then never again allow any of your money, transportation, housing, or freedom be dependent on a man's good graces, no matter how hard they sell it. I sure did. I sure as hell did. And I didn't honestly realize how big of a hole that I put myself into until I read that guy's comment. Slowly, all of those things have been done, one by one. But I only have myself to blame. I will do exactly that, make a checklist. Damn, I'm so disappointed in myself. Hey, you're not an idiot. You were trusting the person you loved, and no, he is to blame. It's not you didn't lock yourself down, he did. And now on to the final update, titled, My Side. My ex made a post saying that I told her that I bought her house and has blocked me from commenting. How about I share some context? This is her post. She only showed me this a few days ago, but for the past couple of weeks, my now ex-girlfriend has been curating the truth to extract as much validation as she can from this situation and has prevented me from commenting or sharing my side. She admits that I actually said that I bought a house with us in mind. I did say that. When I first met her, I was moving away to LA. I had already lived in a home that was paid off for 12 years, but when I met her, I decided that maybe it's best to continue to build a life here, and should things work out, we could figure out a future together. I had been looking at the market, and one day, an amazing house came on the block for $300K less than it was a month ago. I pounced and went to see it. That night, I told her I saw a place. I even sent her the photos and said, I'm going to place an offer, which I did. She seemed to love the place and see how much of an upgrade it would be from my current place. This is a $2 million house with 4 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, and most importantly, a garage, as my cars kept getting stolen since I didn't have one at my current place. There was never mention of us moving in together right away. At the time, we were together for 6 months, way too soon. We weren't even saying I love you yet. And I did say that once actually, and she just didn't return it anyways. That being said, since we spend 95% of our time sleeping at my place when we see each other once a week, I figured this would be good for us, and when it is time, we could move in together there and go from there. She loved the place. From what she said, this was supposed to be a positive. Now let's rewind though. 3 months into the relationship, she asked to borrow $4,000. I was not comfortable with it, but as usual, she made herself seem so much in need. So much so that I couldn't just say no and break up with her there. But now I realize I should have. She guilted me, saying that couples have to work together and be there for each other and all that jazz. The fact is, within those first 3 months, I had brought her to LA while I had to be there on business, and the total cost of the week that she was there was around $3K. Then over Christmas, we went to another city, another $2 to $3K, as well as a Punta Cana vacation for $7K. So after all of that is when she decided to ask me, and you don't need to be a genius to realize that she chose me because clearly she pinned me as having the money to. Had this been my wife or other long-term girlfriend, this wouldn't have been an issue, but 3 months in, this was a big flag, and I talked to her about it. As usual, and as a pattern throughout this relationship, she would get extremely angry, lose her cool, and make me feel bad for questioning her character. So fast forward to me actually moving into this house over a 3-week period, she helped nothing whatsoever, never offered, and my own family, friends, and people who were working at the house asked me about it all the time. Oh, she has school. Oh, she texts me though, and so on and so forth. Completely MIA until of course Friday or Saturday night where she wanted to go for dinners or go to shows. That we did of course. One day, once her exams had tailed down and she told me that she was waking up early to write a paper, I saw that she'd posted a sunshine-kissed selfie saying, yoga, meal prep, coffee, sunshine. And I wrote her privately, you know, I feel you could have at least offered to help in some way today. Again, she loses it and tells me, you know, you don't have to tell me something just because it bothers you. And then eventually she says, and I will never forget this ever, don't you think you're expecting a little much of me for 7 to 8 months of dating? I was shocked. For some reason, pressuring your boyfriend for a $4,000 loan 3 months in, but offering help in any way over a 3-week period is too much. I called it off, decided I don't need her, and this relationship wouldn't work with this set of values that we don't share. A couple of days later, after trying whatever she could to flip this whole fight on me, constantly changing the goalposts as a pattern that I had identified and made her aware of repeatedly over those 7 to 8 months, she eventually showed up unannounced, apologizing profusely, and apparently seeming to genuinely recognize that it wasn't right, and she could have offered. I took some of the responsibility once she did, and said that maybe I could have been more direct as to when and how. We resolved. We started to laugh again. This was a fight that we would learn from, we both said. Well, last week we disagreed for another simple issue, and she blew up, as she does, yelling, calling my life chaotic, calling me everything she can think of, and then says that she resents me for wanting her to help with the house when she had exams. Basically, she took back the apology fully and stormed out of the house. I did not chase her, I did not text her, and I did not want to negotiate at all anymore. The next morning, she said she acted like that because I told her that she was effed. To be honest, I don't remember saying that, but I probably did as she was having a massive blow-up. I apologized for saying that she is effed up because after all, whatever I do is in my control, and tried my very best to get her to see that blowing up like that is her behavior to be accountable for. That's when she shared the original thread. Again, no words. Shocked that for a couple of weeks in the background, she had been farming all of these comments about me, sharing our personal stuff, and curating it in a way to make herself look like, you guessed it, a victim whose boyfriend bought her a house. We met off Hinge. She asked to borrow $4,000 from me 3 months in, and I told her since then that it just didn't look good at all, and I'd hate to have something that I couldn't even share with my friends or family. The facts are that she only shared, as the relationship went on, that she is over $40,000 in debt, got fired from her nursing job because the educator had it in for her, missed out on receiving funding from the school because of their online portal, wasn't able to apply to graduate because the school didn't let her know properly, hates her parents even though they gave her a car, paid for her exams and other failed attempts at schooling in the past, told me that her last relationship was toxic, and she didn't see a future with him, but stayed with him for 3 years when they broke up. He threatened to jump off their building, same building that she currently lives in, where 1 bedroom costs more than my previous mortgage did for the 12 years that I paid it. Overall, yes, I had reason to play it slow with her. I didn't want her moving in on a technicality, or making me responsible for all of her bills, or getting trapped if things didn't work out. I didn't buy her a house, I bought my house in cash, paid in full, and she was well aware of that. I bought a house because I had settling down in my current city in mind after meeting and had hoped that it would work out. But here she is complaining about if she would have an office in it for nursing? And even then, we never got into the nitty-gritty of how it would work out. except for the fact that I was obviously not going to charge her rent, but that perhaps she would pay for things like internet, maybe water bill, some food, costs of a cleaning lady, which I've already had for the past 5 years. A shoe room? I have 25 pairs of shoes in a closet. The spare bedroom would be for a baby's room, possibly if my future half is comfortable with that. The house has a lot of room. Discussions would be had, but I realized that discussions could never be had with her. She has rage in her mind, a wild sense of entitlement, and at present time is currently getting evicted from her apartment and has no full-time job, but all the time in the world to make Reddit posts for validation. This problem is solved. She is not going to move in, and I am accountable for my house and hope she becomes accountable for her house. I welcome any comments and questions, but I know that I was dealing with a highly problematic person who will never truly realize her ways. In the comments, Tipsana says, "A relationship that is less than 9 months old should not be this difficult. Some 20-plus year marriages with kids have less drama than this here. There is no winner here. They are both better off without each other. Yeah, but we're better off if they stay together, so no decent people have to be dragged into a relationship with one of these melons." I've read that there is a German proverb that we should all rejoice when two unpleasant people marry each other, because it keeps them from making two pleasant people unhappy. I know a couple that reminds me of that. I imagine it's much pithier in German. Well, given the full context, I've decided that I don't like either of them. I don't like either of them either. This is such a long and drawn-out story, and I've decided that I'm not taking any sides because they both suck. I feel like there is so many twisted truths going on, so much that's left out, so many missing reasons, and just so many lies at every step. Like, it's so obvious that both of them are lying about the situation to make each other look good. I'm glad that they have each other. I hope that the breakup isn't for too long, and I really want them to get back together so that we don't have to deal with their bullshits. Who's with me on that one, huh, guys? Am I the asshole for telling my sister's fiancé about her loyalty test? I'm using an alt account because my friends use Reddit, and I'm not sure if I want to open this stuff up to those in my life, as things haven't settled between everyone yet. I, 26 female, have a younger sister Lily, 24 female, who's been with her fiancé Mark, 28 male, for 3 years. They've always seemed really happy together, and they're planning to get married next summer. Lily and I have always been super close, but she can get pretty intense and a bit paranoid when it comes to relationships. A few weeks ago, Lily told me about this plan she had. She wanted to test Mark's loyalty by having her friend Sarah flirt with him at a party to see how he would react. I told her that it was a terrible idea and that she should just trust him, but she was dead set on it. She said she needed to be sure that Mark wouldn't cheat on her once they're married. So, last weekend at a party, Sarah went ahead with the plan. According to Lily, Mark was nice but didn't flirt back, and even mentioned he was engaged. But Lily was still upset because she felt he didn't shut Sarah down forcefully enough. I thought this whole thing was really unfair to Mark. He had no idea he was being tested, and I felt bad for him. So I ended up telling him what Lily did. He was shocked and hurt, but thanked me for being honest with him. Now Lily is absolutely furious with me. She says I betrayed her and ruined her relationship. She won't talk to me, and she's saying I overstepped big time. Our parents are split on this. Mum thinks I did the right thing, but Dad thinks I should have stayed out of it. Mark is now reconsidering the engagement, and Lily has cut me off completely. I'm feeling really torn and guilty. I don't know if I did the right thing by telling Mark, or if I should have just stayed out of it. Am I the asshole? And if I am, how do I fix this? Should I try to repair my relationship with Lily? Should I reach out to Mark again, or give him some space? Any advice would be really appreciated. I am so lost right now. In the comments, Angry Middle-Aged Jew says, "Your sister isn't mature enough for marriage and is looking for reasons to cause drama. Either she's bored, or she cheated and came close to cheating and is projecting her guilt onto the man. Your dad is also an idiot. Think about it like this. She gave him a test, he passed with flying colors, and she's still mad that he didn't do well enough somehow? He passed a test that she created and roped her equally terrible friend into, and she's mad at the results even though it's the one that she said she wanted. Your sister needs help, not a husband. Honestly, her fiancé couldn't win. If he was too rude, she probably would have been pissed off. Being hit on by your fiancé's best friend is a minefield whether it's real or not. It's not like telling some stranger to just get lost. If it was real, he had to navigate carefully to keep her from making up a story about how he was hitting on her. They put him in an impossible-to-navigate situation, and he still did the right thing. Honestly, he's too good for her. Threw him into the Kobayashi Maru without him knowing, and he went and passed it. I imagine OP's sister as the commandant from the Police Academy movies. Not the asshole, and I don't blame Mark. I wouldn't want to marry someone who doesn't trust me either. Furthermore, she was dissatisfied that her game didn't end up showing her fiancé as a player. She wanted to go further. She wanted to trick him to catch him. Why is she so obsessed with proving he is a cheater? Who would want to associate with someone so invested on trying to trick them or pushing someone else to harass them as a testimony of their engagement or fidelity? I'm wondering if the didn't shut her down forcefully enough parts meant that Lily was hoping for a bigger, more, I love my fiancé, get away from me, woman, kind of reality TV reaction. Maybe his reaction didn't make her feel special enough or something. You are both adults. You are both free to make your own choices and to have your own thoughts and feelings. Lily made her choice, and you believed she made a bad decision. I agree with you. Lily does not have to agree with you. Lily is responsible for her own actions. She made her choice, and she owns the consequences of her own decisions and actions. Let her be pissed off. Your sister is not mature enough to be married. At this point, you should stay far, far away from this situation. Let Lily and Mark figure out their own relationship, not the asshole. Edit to add, it appears both you and Mark failed at the loyalty test according to Lily's definition. Perhaps you should ask your sister what exactly loyalty means to her. I don't think she has a good understanding of the meaning. If she did, she would not have put either one of you in this situation. I think that's some spot-on advice right there. I think this was a no-win situation, no matter what happens. I always like to think, what's the alternative in a situation like this? And if he was more forceful with the alternative in this situation, that could be a red flag in a partner. Do you really want a partner that blows up at people when that person's kindness gets misconstrued as flirting? She's honestly such a little baby for attacking you, for going to him about it, being like, you know what I just wanted to say? My sister's being crazy right now. Here's how she's being crazy, and she put you in a rock and a hard place. Your sister's reaction to your actions is insane to me. I think she's absolutely delulu, not the arsehole OP. And now, on to the update. Hey everyone, I wanted to update you since it's been a month since everything went down. First off, thanks to everyone who shared their thoughts and advice. It helped a lot to hear different perspectives, and that most people seem to agree that I did the morally right thing, which lifted a huge weight off my chest. After my post, things were really tense. Lily refused to talk to me, and there was a huge divide in our family since we're the only 2 kids my parents have now. Mark reached out once to say thanks, but I could tell that he needed space, so I gave it to him. Me trying to be a source of comfort to him after everything went down didn't seem right, and I didn't want any worse assumptions to start. About 2 weeks in, Lily reached out and asked to meet up. I was surprised, but eventually we did meet up, and while she was still upset and despite how pissed off she was at the beginning, she realized her actions were over the top. She told me she's going to see a therapist to work on her insecurities. It was an emotional talk, and we both cried. We agreed to try to slowly mend things, starting with meeting up at our parents' house more often, but it's going to take time. Mark took a break from Lily to process everything. They put their wedding plans on hold, which was hard for both of them. About a week ago, he decided he wanted to try and work things out, agreeing to attend couples therapy with her too. It's not easy, but they're committed to trying, And I guess I was so guilty at the start because it was obvious, despite everything, that he was crazy in love with her, and I didn't want to break that. During this time, I've been working on myself too. I've realized how much I value honesty and integrity in relationships, and I'm trying to be more supportive without overstepping. It's a learning process, but I'm trying. Lily and I aren't back to where we were, and I don't know how long it'll take, but we can keep trying. We've had a few good talks and laughed a little like we used to. Thanks again to everyone who offered advice and support. It's been a tough month, but I'm happier now. I'll keep you posted if anything major changes. Take care, and thanks again. In the comments, Roguish Squirrel says, communication winning the day? That's something you don't see every day. Good one on everybody in this story. Apologies if this post comes off curt. Seeing my fair share of these stories tends to leave me jaded and cynical, but do know the kudos are very much real, and I hope things work out for everybody. Even the most rational people can, at weak moments, do really dumb shit. I'm glad Lily had the self-awareness to realize her errors. That willingness to be contrite may have saved several relationships in her family and her own marriage, though that's obviously still up in the air. Doesn't make loyalty testing any less ridiculous, of course. The thing that is bullshit, other than the loyalty test, is how Lily interpreted the results. Mary was screwed no matter what. He doesn't engage Sarah, but because he didn't shut it down fast enough, he's still the asshole? This seems positive, but I see failure in that relationship's future. Relationship tests are a sign of immaturity and insecurity. My partner has full access to all my electronics and information. Why not? Edit. It's not about controlling behavior, it's just that I see whatever my partner has and mine as a joint unit and ownership. I really don't care and they don't either. See, I feel the same about electronics, but my partner threatened to break up with me if I ever went through his without asking. He's just really protective of his privacy, and apparently it's more common than I realized to not share everything in relationships. My husband and I know each other's phone pins and computer passwords. We have the potential to go through each other's devices. It would still be pretty weird if one of us actually did that though, because it would signal that there was already a huge trust issue. Same. I actually picked my pin because it was something my husband would remember. I don't care if he uses my phone or computer, but I'd be concerned if he felt the need to actually snoop. Quote, Lily reached out and asked to meet up. I was surprised, but eventually we met up, and while she was still upset, and despite how pissed off she was at the beginning, she realized her actions were over the top. This doesn't read like Lily being pissed off at herself, but OP, and or her fiancé. If even after all of this, she is still looking to blame someone else, I think she's too immature to make this relationship work. Yeah, if Lily is still refusing to take the fall, the relationship will fail eventually. I don't think it's entirely all doom and gloom. Like, I do think this is something you can get over if you're willing to put the work into it, but, that's not always reality, is it? If I were hitting the TAB and doing some bets, I'd bet on this relationship failing because I'd want that good payout. I want that good money. But you never know. The underdog can always come back at halftime and score and win the game. I personally don't anticipate another update coming in the future, but if it does, I'd love to know what happens. But it's glad that at least Lily is coming back and working on fixing things with OP, regardless of her still being pissed off. I think that says good things about the future. Hopefully not bad things. Our next post is by user ThrowRASadMum123, titled, My 47 female, pregnant daughter, 22 female, is going to marry an incarcerated man, 29 male. How can I go about this situation? I'm concerned for my child. Yes, she's an adult, but I feel like she's making the worst decision for herself. I don't approve at all. My daughter had good things going for herself. She graduated high school, went to college, and graduated with her associates. Got accepted into dental school, and all of it's going down the drain because she chose to invest her time and energy into her quote-unquote soulmate. About a year ago, my daughter started writing letters to prisoners as a pen pal to keep them company. At first I was uncomfortable with the idea for many, many reasons. It never crossed my mind that she'd fallen for a criminal, but I still rented a PO box for her so she wouldn't give out her address. My daughter was in a healthy relationship with her now ex-fiancé. They've been together since her senior year in high school. They just had their first child over a year ago, expecting another, and they got engaged 6 months ago. A month ago, my daughter told me that she and her fiancé were taking a break, and 2 weeks ago, she called off the engagement and left him. He is a complete wreck. He told me it hurts that his family that he created with my daughter is now broken. He feels so blindsided, as do I, because I believed my daughter was truly in love, but she wasn't. She wasn't happy. I've been supportive of my daughter during this whole situation, that is, until she told me that she's already in a new relationship. I was taken aback. I obviously started questioning her about it, and she confessed she had fallen for one of the prisoners that she's written to. In fact, they've been together for 3 months. It makes me sick to my stomach even typing this out right now, because I just can't believe it. She said they've been in contact for almost 8 months, and since then, they have fallen more and more in love with each other. She has visited him multiple times. In fact, she's even taken my grandson to see this guy. She's shown me pictures of them embracing and him holding my grandchild. I've done some research and looked up his charges, and I'm livid she even brought my grandson, even herself, around someone who could do such horrible things. I'm terrified for my daughter and grandson. I've tried expressing my concerns to her, but she's in a whole other world. She told me the last in-person visit they had, he popped the question, and she said yes, and that's when I snapped. I was and am very pissed about this whole situation, and she's heard that I'm not supportive of her decisions. She has defended their relationship and her choices, and we started arguing. It got so bad that now she's not speaking to me or allowing me to see my grandbaby, and it breaks my heart. I love my child, but I will never approve of this relationship. I understand that as an adult, she has the right to make her own choices, and I've always been proud of her independence. But as someone who truly loves her deeply, it's hard for me to watch her make a decision that I feel could be harmful to herself and my grandson. I am scared for her because of what I've learned about this person's past, and I can't shake the fear of what could happen. I don't want to lose her or my grandchild to a situation that seems so risky. I don't know what else I can do. I feel so hopeless. Please, what else can I do? In the comments, Terry Yonjif says, I would personally give all the information you have on the new guy to the ex and implore him to get the family court immediately and fight for full custody and sole custody of the kids. You can't stop your adult child from ruining her life and putting herself in danger, but you can assist in getting your minor grandchild away from this situation and away from her poor decision-making. She may hate you for doing this, but the safety of the child is more important than her clouded feelings right now, and maybe the courts threatening to remove her child might be the wake-up call to stop the foolishness. Also, if OP helps the father get custody, she still could have a relationship with the child, just not via her daughter. Her relationship with the inmate may hinge on the inmate getting access to the child. Is the former fiancé fighting for custody? How does your daughter plan to support her 2 kids? Hopefully the ex will be able to make sure the kids are safe and get CPS involved if they are not. I have a feeling that the exhaustion from single parenting a newborn will have your daughter coming to her senses soon. How much longer is her partner in jail for? OP replies, her ex-fiancé still doesn't know about her new relationship. When my daughter ended their relationship, he felt completely blindsided because he didn't see it coming. No one did. If he knew she was in another relationship, especially with a criminal, it would be a living nightmare. I think he has the right to know because she's bringing his children to see this man. For privacy reasons, I will not give out any names. He's currently serving a life sentence. I'll let you guess, but he could get out early on parole. He has a history of domestic abuse and breaking protective orders. She's taking the children there? For the love of God, why? This entire situation is insane. You 100% need to contact the ex. He needs to get sole custody. There is absolutely no reason for these children to be going to visit a felon. A life sentence? You need to explain to your daughter now before you take legal action to gain sole custody with the father. She needs it spelt out on paper how this person is literally dropping an atomic bomb on her life while literally being locked up. I would ask questions like, how can you marry someone you have never seen interact or function in legit real society? Why is she so quick to not look into his past? How can you marry someone you have never seen interact with another person? How can you bring children around someone who is in for life? Opie, I know you aren't sharing, but did this dude kill someone? This is the craziest post I have ever read. Please update us, and I'm sorry this is happening. Tell her ex everything so he files for full custody, and in the meantime, his attorney needs to make sure that she never ever takes that baby to prison ever again. That felon has no business being anywhere near those children. If she wants to marry him, good luck to her, but those kids need to be priority number one. OP replies, it's sad, but everything you said is the truth. My grandkids don't need to be brought into this situation, especially not having any clue what's going on. It hurts because I feel like I'm losing my daughter. Yeah, there really is no winning in a situation like this. All you can do is be really careful and get custody taken off of her because it doesn't seem as though she's acting rationally. She's been pen pals with this guy for how long and, cheating on her fiancé for how long? Something is seriously wrong with this woman. I mean, the 7-year age gap, maybe there's a question there about how that relationship started, but how old is this felon that she's going out with? What's the age gap there? Obviously that's very minor, but how did he get a life sentence? And why is she bringing kids around this guy? Also, how are so many felons able to get women wrapped around their finger like this? Just boggles my mind. And now, on to the update. I wanted to start off with thanking everyone that took time to give me some advice. After receiving a lot of comments with suggestions on how I should handle this situation, I went ahead and told the father of my grandchildren about what has been going on. He was my soon-to-be son-in-law, and I've grown to love him as if he was my own. I believe he has every right to know about the well-being of his children, so I confessed everything to him. Thankfully, I have a family therapist who is a very close friend of mine. She's been here with us since the divorce between me and my ex-husband. I called her. We spoke about the situation, and she agreed to guide me to tell the kid's father. I called him over to my home, and we all had a very long talk. I let him know everything, and he broke down, crying hysterically. It was horrible. He felt so violated, not only as a partner to her, but as a father to their kids. I made it very clear that I would support him no matter what the circumstances. At this point, it's not only about my daughter, but my grandkids. We discussed the charges against my daughter's new fiancé, and he was beyond livid. He actually suggested himself taking my daughter to court, and I agreed with him that it would be the best thing to do. We came to an agreement that he wouldn't tell my daughter what he knew, and that way, I could get more information to help him plead his case. But yesterday, shit hit the fan. I received some angry texts from my daughter, and it didn't end well. I post the text here. D is daughter, M is mum, OP. She goes, Mum, why aren't you answering me? Dude, answer your phone. Eye roll, facepalm. Hello? I'm sorry I couldn't answer the phone. I was driving and my phone wasn't connected to the Bluetooth. What's wrong, babe? Is everything okay? Why the hell do you hate me so much? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you going out of your way to tell my business to Redacted for? Redacted, babe, I love you, but please don't speak to me like this. Can you please try telling me what's going on calmly? The F do I need to be calm for? All you do is stress me out. I'm 7 months pregnant and high risk, and you want me stressed for what? Redacted, honey, I don't want you to be stressed, and I don't want to be the reason to cause it. So, why the F are you telling Redacted my business? What do you mean? He's been blowing up my phone all night long. He called me again on his break this morning and said you brought him to see Dr. Redacted and told him that I've been cheating on him throughout our relationship. You told him about Redacted and that I've been letting him around Redacted. What the hell is wrong with you? Redacted, honey, there's nothing wrong with me. I understand why you're upset, but baby, this man is a very dangerous criminal. He's doing life for a reason. He murdered his ex. He abused her, and she went to get an order of protection against him, and he violated all of it. I love you and Redacted with all my heart, and I can't imagine a life without you both. Oh my god. You are so effing narcissistic, facepalm, facepalm. Redacted, I'm asking you to please be respectful. I don't deserve to be spoken to like this. In response to the dangerous criminal text, dangerous? You don't even effing know him. Did you skip over the messages right after that? He was abusing a poor girl. She didn't feel safe and went to get a protective order against him, and he violated them and ended up murdering her. Redacted, open your eyes. He's guilty and serving time. He's not guilty of a damn thing. You clearly don't understand how any of this shit works. He wasn't found guilty. He took a plea deal. He still got life, but he can still get out on parole. He did this to avoid getting life without parole. You don't understand any of this shit. He still killed someone. Why are you not addressing this? He's a murderer. No, he's not. He's a victim that needed to defend himself. Defend himself? He was a grown-ass man beating on a woman. What, so men can't be victims of abuse? The witch would start fights, hit him and play victim in the end. It was a whole cycle. Redacted, can we not do this over text? Please answer your phone. No, I don't want to. We can talk through text or don't have to talk at all. Grinning smiley. What's your issue? My issue is you. You're weird as fuck going behind your daughter's back. I'm your kid. You should have my back. I do have your back, but I also care for the livelihood of my grandchildren. This situation is unhealthy and unsafe for children. You as an adult can do whatever you please, but when children are being put in these toxic situations, action needs to be taken. Oh, so you agree with Redacted that I'm an unstable, unfit mother? Crying laughing emoji 3 times. You are such a narcissistic witch. I can see why Dad divorced you before he died. I wouldn't want to be buried next to you either. I've had enough of the disrespect, Redacted. I've been nothing but calm and respectful, and you've disrespected me over and over. We've been past respect. You told my business to my baby daddy. You disrespected me, so I'm returning it, laughing crying emoji. You've changed. You've become such a nasty individual, and it's upsetting that as my only daughter, you treat me this way after everything I've done for you. Yeah, I have changed. I had an effing baby, went through postpartum by myself. Redacted would see me struggling and didn't do shit. I was working to provide for my family. I had no emotional support. I was by myself. Just me and my son. When I found out I was having baby 2, I was by myself. Yeah, Redacted had a job and took care of us, but he wasn't there to help me. I was by myself. I found a man who, yes, made some mistakes in his past, but he's making up for it. He finished school, is allowing God to lead him in life, and he's positive. He respects me and pushes me to be strong. He motivates me, and he provides emotional support. I don't need a man's money because I make my own, but I needed love, and he provided that for me. I don't understand why you felt the need to go out of your way to disturb our peace, but I'm happy and very much in love with him, and I'm not leaving him. Look at how you're acting, Redacted. You're spiraling. This man is no good. Oh my god, get the F out. I'm tired of the back and forth, facepalm emoji. Like I told Redacted, good luck taking me to court, finger emoji. Until then, you won't be seeing me, Redacted, or the baby for the sake of our mental health. You bring nothing but drama and negativity into our lives, and we'd be so much better off without you. Please don't contact me, or you will be blocked. I called the children's father to ask him what the hell he was thinking, and he explained that he wasn't. He's been apologizing non-stop, but the damage has already been done. I'm at a loss for words. I'm devastated, I'm heartbroken, I've officially lost my daughter and grandkids, and I don't know what else to do. I can't imagine not being a part of their lives, and it hurts me deeply. What did I do wrong to deserve this? Is there any way I could fix this? In the comments, Trish SF says, time. Guarantee this guy has other women on the hook. Why not? He's got nothing going for him, and he'll never see the light of day again. Maybe it's possible to hire a private investigator that can find out if there are others or not, but at some point, she's going to miss being touched. Dates, hugs in the morning at night, just be there when she crashes because she will. That's all you can do. I'm so sorry. Keep supporting the father. He will get them eventually and you can still be grandma. Your daughter was lost before you even posted. She may come back, but keep in with the dad. Good luck, OP. OP replies, he feels really guilty for my daughter's reaction, but I believe it was only a matter of time before she was going to crash out. At this moment in time, I'm worried for my grandson. It makes me question, if my daughter can get so angry with me with something like this, how angry can she get at my grandbaby? Your grandchild's dad can still get custody. Daughter is making horrible choices. OP replies, after rereading her messages, I think it's possible my daughter was suffering from postpartum depression, and by getting pregnant again so soon, her body didn't get enough time to heal. Her hormones are all over the place, and her mental health is declining. She wasn't like this a year ago. She was a happy, respectful, caring soul, but all of that's changed, and I feel horrible. I wish I could have seen her behavior myself. I could have gotten her the help she needed right then and there. This is one of those posts that I really hope is fake, and they blow their cover by going over the top next update. Like tomorrow getting a post they've already been to court and seen a judge with a summary judgment. Please, Reddit gods, let this be fake. Even if this specific post is fake, this happens every single day. I used to work for the prison systems, and we called them prison bunnies. And I am not kidding you, these girls are crazy. Yup. These prisoners get sympathy from the fools and get them to put money on their books so they can buy what they need in jail. Because they're so innocent. I wish this were fake, but almost this exact scenario happened with my sister-in-law. Lonely, started writing to a guy in prison, fell for a guy convicted for murder, he got out, they got married and had a kid. A few years pass, and she finds out he's been cheating on her and stealing her money and was emotionally abusive. Everyone saw that it was bad news, but no one could talk her out of it while it was going on. I hope this resolves differently. X is an idiot for immediately spilling the beans when his child's safety is on the line. Yeah, he messed that up so badly. Now Crazy Girl is fully aware of his plans, so she can lawyer up and stonewall him in family courts. I don't know what he was thinking. I'm guessing there's a small kernel of truth about him and all her complaining, but he still deserves custody more than her. She's lost her damn mind. Boyfriend is going on a bachelorette trip with all females. So, my boyfriend has a female best friend. She recently asked him to be in her wedding as the man of honor. She also has a maid of honor. One of my best friends is also male. Both of us are okay with having friends of the opposite sex. But I don't text my male friend daily and talk to him all day. We check in on occasion, hang out on occasion, and I typically always try to include my boyfriend in the hangouts. My boyfriend goes out to drinks with his female friend or friends and never invites me. Now he's invited on a bachelorette trip, weekend getaway with a house full of females, and drinking. This makes me extremely uncomfortable, and I've mentioned that. Not to mention, I've never ever had any romantic feelings towards my male friend. He, on the other hand, admitted to having feelings for his friend in the past. He brushes it off and acts like I'm overreacting. If I went on a bachelor trip with a bunch of guys for a weekend, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be cool with it at all. Edit, ladies and gentlemen, by all means, I appreciate both takes. Am I being insecure, or would you not be okay with this either? In the comments, I'm truly sorry to be this blunt. If he wants to cheat, he will, regardless of what you allow him to do. I hope he doesn't, but limiting him doesn't change shit. OP says, you're right, and I'm not trying to limit anything. They just say that you should trust your gut, and something doesn't seem right. Again, could very much be overreacting here. Are you friends with the bride or best friend? If not, why is that? This is pertinent information, honestly. And OP says, no, because I'm not ever invited or included in anything that they do. I don't get the chance to get to know her. Meanwhile, I'm constantly inviting him to hang out with me and my male friends to make him more comfortable. OP, in a separate comment regarding the same question, says, "Absolutely, and I've mentioned that it bothers me that I'm constantly including him and he never invites me. I've mentioned that I'd like to go out and get to know them. Still have yet to be invited to anything. I know this sounds so whiny, but I feel like I'd want the person that I love to get to know the other people that I love." As someone who lives with their partner, I can understand wanting to hang out with your friends without them. We're around each other constantly, and it's nice to have time with friends alone. That being said, if my partner literally never invited me out with their friends, that would definitely hurt. And OP replies, "Right, and I'm very much the same way. I want my own space to have my own life and friends. In no way am I trying to take that away from him, but the fact that I am never included is starting to take its toll. Something I've not seen in your post, and is very critical, how long have you and your partner been seeing each other?" And OP says, "Going on 2 years. Do you mean to say that you have never met this friend? You're just generally not included in their time together?" And OP says, "Met once, but it was at an event a lot of people were going to, and I'm sure our interaction couldn't have been avoided on this occasion. But no, he hangs out with her alone every time and has never invited me. I have brought this to his attention. It was also initially coming from a place of genuinely wanting to get to know his friends. He acknowledged what I said and agreed, but has done nothing to change it. Why can't you join them?" OP says, "I'm not sure. I'm not part of their group or part of the wedding, so I get it. I'm not expected to be invited or for her to be my BFF either. However, if he really is her best friend, I'd think that she would want to get to know his girlfriend. And if he is as serious about me as he claims, I would also think that he'd want to make an active effort for me to get to know her, simply because we are people in this life that he cares about." So how does the friend's fiancé feel about your boyfriend being there? Does he even know? I can't imagine he's cool having the guy that used to have feelings for his fiancé being drunk with her at an event that is supposed to be the last hoorah before being tied to one person forever. OP says, "I'm wondering the same. This isn't very nice, but her fiancé sounds like a dud. I'm pretty sure that he barely works while she foots all of his bills. Sounds like she just wants a husband in order to have a child. Not sure if he does care, honestly. I think he's got it made." Ah, so he's one of those men. Would you describe your boyfriend as the opposite of the bride's fiancé? OP says, "Personality-wise, they could not be more different. Ambition-wise, they're probably about the same. Also, probably something that I need to start questioning. Don't listen to people saying that you're controlling him. F that. This is totally disrespectful to you, and by all appearances, he doesn't care that you are hurt. You aren't allowed to hang out with him and these women. There is a reason for that, or reasons. Why are you wasting your energy on someone who doesn't give a shit about your feelings?" OP says, "I'm wondering that myself. Just posting because I was curious if anyone out there had a similar experience while being in a long-term relationship where both parties have friends of the opposite sex. I'm saying your boyfriend hasn't given you any reason to trust him on that trip, and you shouldn't." OP says, "The first fight that we got in, he immediately had a girl over. He told me that he thought that we were broken up. He is constantly asking me, 'Who are you texting?' and wanting to look at my messages. I don't do this to him. I've never entertained another guy. I'd never be so quick as to invite someone else over immediately upon fighting. Granted, this happened a year ago. But I'm human, and I cannot help that a slight distrust has formed based on his actions. I would start questioning the relationship, not the asshole." OP says, "Unfortunately, I am very much questioning everything now. Thank you." Yeah, I'm gonna go with a not the asshole for this one, OP. The fact that you had a fight and it wasn't stated that that was an actual breakup and he had a girl over immediately, that should have been your first warning sign that things weren't going well with this guy. Plus, to me, the projection, the defensiveness of him being like, "Who are you texting? I need to see who you're texting. Show me your messages." That's telling me where there is smoke, there is fire, OP. I don't want to be the one to be conjecting or anything like that, but that is sus behavior. I think we have an imposter among us. This boyfriend might not be who he claims to be, and I don't like the vibes that he's giving off. And now, onto the updates. The battery was dead in his vehicle when he tried to leave yesterday. Then he got a flat tire right before he got home. Karma got him for something, okay? I know this isn't the update that you want, but it's hilarious. And yes, I'm an asshole for saying that. We'll try to actually update soon. Update 2, we got a chance to talk in depth. He actually made me feel really good about everything. Calmed my fears, told me he actually got drunk and cried to all of the girls about how much he loved me, etc. Bought me a cute little shirt. All good, right? Plot twist. I found out a day later that the bride's fiancé showed up unannounced to the cabin. There was no bachelorette trip. It was literally just the two of them. Needless to say, I'm single. No idea if the wedding is still on. I've blocked everyone. My ex-boyfriend was supposed to be in the wedding, so what the hell? What the actual F, y'all? Sounds like his life is currently imploding though, so I'm just gonna let Karma keep sorting this out. I think that he lost his job because he couldn't show up due to his truck issues, and is probably going to have to move back in with his mum. We had initially been talking about him moving in with me. Woo. And this is all in the last week. Amen. In the comments, Matcha Magpie says, I don't get people like this. Why didn't Opie's ex and his best friend just get together instead of involving two innocent, unrelated parties into their effed up rom-com romance? Because they probably aren't compatible, just had good sex. I'm kinda hoping that they further immolate their lives by turning the wedding reservations into their own, now that neither of them have significant others to get in the way. Wouldn't that be great for all the good single people out there, if all the cheaters take themselves off the market with each other? I love it when toxic people pair up and stop tormenting everyone else with their crazy antics. I hope these two scumbags get married and stay together forever. When the mistress becomes the wife, it creates a vacancy. Horrible people will never stop making everyone around them miserable. I love the plot twist, and I'm glad for her that the bride's fiancé went to find out. I wonder what tipped him off. If I had to guess, he reached out to the maid of honor or someone in the bridal party to help set a surprise for the bachelorette party, and the reply was, "What bachelorette party?" How could anyone possibly think that they could get away with this? All it takes is a question to the wrong person, and they are discovered. I just think the answer to that one is that there's a lot of stupid people out there, and half those stupid people that you perceive out there are doubly as stupid as you would otherwise think they are. So I think that this is just two brain cells smashing into each other, trying to come up with a good cover story and not coming up with shit. I think they deserved what they got. And, sorry that happened to you, OP, but I do hope the future looks a bit brighter for you now that this shit person is out of it.